Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Bruins were on the road yesterday, taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. They lost that one 3-1, but they will have a chance to get back in the win column today, second half of a back-to-back, as they visit the Philadelphia Flyers. Coverage of that game starts at 3 o'clock right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. We've also got the Celtics in action this afternoon. They're at home. They're hosting the Toronto Raptors. That game can be heard starting at 3. That's on our sister station, 105.7 WROR. The Red Sox allowed a run in the top of the ninth yesterday to lose 3-2 to the San Diego Padres. That series wraps up this afternoon with a rubber match. Ranger Suarez gets the ball for the Red Sox. Starting for the Padres, former Red Sox pitcher Walker Buehler. The New England Revolution picked up a 3-0 win at home last night against CF Montreal. Peyton Miller, one of 3 goal scorers for the Revs, his second goal of the season. And in the Final Four last night, UConn going back to the national championship with their 71-62 win over Illinois. They will meet Michigan, who blew out Arizona 91-73 in the second semifinal. So again, UConn, Michigan, national championship tomorrow night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of the Boston Red Sox. Make this season your season with the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Michael Hurley has you next at 12 o'clock.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Boston Sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Station. We've got Celtics and Raptors at the Garden. The women's national championship game, South Carolina, UCLA, is at 3:30 today. It is a sporty Sunday.
It's a big sporty
Easter
Sunday. It's a big one. It's a big one. A lot of action. If you are heading to Fenway, good luck to you. Get your rain gear.
Thank you.
Bring your slicks.
Red Sox today as well at 1:35, wrapping up the series with the Padres. What were any morning plans for you before you came in today?
You know, we had the egg hunt. The egg hunt was successful. The wife made the bunny. Luckily, the wife made the bunny-shaped pancakes for the kids, because whenever I've tried to do shapes in food, it's terrifying. So we made it through. They enjoyed that. So yeah, it was kind of a nice start to the day. And then on the way in, getting to hear the dulcet tones of Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle tell me about the NFL season. So it's a nice little Easter Sunday. How about you?
With the raindrops falling. Later plans today. In fact, my mother-in-law still does an Easter egg hunt.
Oh, nice.
For
you?
Yeah. Me, my wife, and my brother-in-law.
You're going to stash some money in those eggs, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Dollar bills. Her fix is scratch tickets.
Nice.
Nice. $2 scratchies.
You never know. Someone's got to win them.
What else? Oh, also like a ticket that might lead to a gift card of some sort.
Because they don't fit in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it keeps us guessing.
Yeah.
Now, the challenge with some rain falling right now, I guess it's going to clear up. Normally it's in the yard. It's outside. It's not an indoor egg hunt. It's an outdoor egg hunt.
TBD.
Yeah. So the egg hunt could get canceled.
Indoor works. You put in the bookshelf. The cabinet.
Space is not on our side.
And the top of the toilet lid, that's a good one. Check there. Always got to check there.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. That's later today for us. But we're here until 3 o'clock. Feel free to chime in. Give us a call at 617-779-0985. So in classic holiday fashion, we were trading emails. Jeff Williams is here. Jeff Williams is our producer today behind the glass. We'll talk about the Bruins later, Jeff, and how they could melt away this postseason run, or making the postseason, I guess, first. So everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. So we will go where you want to go today. If you're driving around, going to Easter brunch, Easter lunch, Easter early dinner, we're here with you until 3 o'clock on the Sports Hub. We were thinking about this. What is when this time of year pops on the calendar, because, of course, Easter can fall on any given day, it always throws me off. Like, Easter's early this year.
It's early, but it could be March. I feel like it was March last year. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I had 12 years of Catholic school. They did not teach me the math of Easter ever.
Because you kind of rattled me in our emails, and you said we were talking about maybe like Easter memories, Easter Boston sports memories, and you brought up Jason Tatum.
Celtics Nets
game 1 of the playoffs.
The Kyrie middle finger behind the back game, as I call it. I don't know if that's what it's called on Wikipedia, but that's what I call it.
So that was the year the Celtics did go to the finals against Golden State. Right? That was the same year? I believe it was.
You can convince me. Yeah, sure. This brain of mine, when it comes to remembering more recent things, it's tough.
Yep, I double checked that. And I should have stuck to it. They did. Marcus Smart passed the ball to Tatum. He cut from the opposite wing.
They had a timeout too,
and they didn't use it. That's right.
Was that Ime's first year?
That was the Ime Celtics. That was Ime, because Ime was 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Was that? Did he have he had the same timeout problem that Joe had, right? When Joe was remember we were like, Missoula does not know how to call a timeout. I feel like Ime might have been the same way.
Or there was trust in they would set it up and do what they needed to do, kind of thing.
So it worked that day. But that was impressive because I remember being, at my aunt's house, and you don't really gather around for game 1 Celtics Nets, but it was a big deal because the Nets had wiped them out the year before.
Right.
Kyrie, there was a lot there.
Durant was there.
Yeah, and like I said, there was some tension in the building. Kyrie was flipping off Celtics fans behind his head while inbounding a ball, like most adults do.
If I'm not mistaken, Sage before the game.
That might have been early, like in the preseason, but he probably was still doing it.
What a waste of time, those Nets teams, because they all just blend together.
If Durant's toe wasn't on the line against
Milwaukee.
Yes.
Yep.
Different story maybe, but it was.
Yep. And that was the year prior.
Yep.
And the Nets knocked the Celtics out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my point. The Celtics still have 4 or 5 regular season games to go, and your Easter memory of that game winner was round 1 of the postseason.
Yeah. And sometimes you get Master Sunday in there. Like there's Easter Sunday can mean a lot of different things. There's generally baseball. So
guaranteed a Red Sox day game if they're home.
Yeah.
Or a marquee Sunday night game, I suppose.
But so I threw this out to you, something we can ask people as you're driving around. Favorite, doesn't have to be Boston sports, just sports memories on holidays, because there is something a little different. Like, this one probably would have landed if the Patriots weren't terrible 2 years ago, but like Chad Ryland's game winner on Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas Eve.
Late in the evening.
Yes, in Denver.
Had some implications long-term in the draft. That's how you ended up with Drake May, right?
Right. You wind up with the 3rd pick as opposed to the 2nd pick.
So things you probably didn't enjoy that on Christmas. You probably just wanted them to lose that night. So it probably doesn't land on the pantheon of greatest Boston sports moments on holidays.
And it wasn't a great game.
No.
And to think what Denver, New England became this season is kind of nuts to think about, too.
That's true. That might have been the game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Peyton was there. Peyton was the coach. And Belichick was the coach still.
It was either the promotion of that game or a promotion during that game when they put on the screen the opposing team's quarterback and Bill Belichick to promote it. And everyone was like, that's a sad state of affairs.
That's where we are.
There's no marketable player that will get people to want to watch the game. So here's the head coach. They've come a long way. Sure have.
Chad Ryland, unsung hero to what the future of the team was. What comes to mind when this day? It doesn't have to be necessarily, like you said, sports memory, Boston sports memory. To me, the date pops on the calendar, and just as a human being, the weather, in theory, is improving.
Sometimes.
Spring is in the air. It is raining. We need the rain. We need the rain.
Do we? I don't.
Maybe we don't.
I mean, I feel like with all the meltage we've had, the ground should be moist. But I'm no botanist either, so I'm just... just going off vibes. The grass looks wet.
Okay, maybe we're beyond that then.
Yeah.
But we're like, it means we're there. We've turned a corner. I will admit, despite how horrible those first 6 games were on the road, there is a tingly feeling inside when the Red Sox are home for opening day. And it wound up being a beautiful opening day on Friday. And Red Sox are looking to win the series today against the San Diego Padres. They start at 1:35. I think the weather's going to be clear for them to play. I mean, I'm just being biased. The ride in was not pleasant.
No, it should be playable, and plus, I mean, you kind of have to. It's San Diego. You're gonna, if it takes all day, you're gonna play this game. They're not coming back here.
Good point.
And it feels like, can I give you like a caveman take? Because like, look at the Red Sox roster. There's guys from Venezuela. There's guys from like all over the place, right? but they play in Boston, right? They should be able to beat the San Diego Padres on a 40-degree rainy day in Boston.
Sure.
There should not be. I understand that's not very nuanced or thoughtful, but it's kind of one of those things. If you play in Boston, there's got to be some level of grit to your play. And if you lose to the San Diego, like the nicest weather city in the country, is going to come in and beat you. They won yesterday on a cold, gray, windy day, which is a demerit for these Red Sox. So it's like you kind of got to come back and win today in these conditions.
Fair enough. And they opened the season. The Padres opened with 6 at home. Detroit followed by San Fran. They go to Pittsburgh after this, and that makes sense geographically to fit the schedule. A lot on the table. Well, we'll tease this. Again, we're going to dive into everything over the course of the 4 hours. We'll maybe do some Patriots, too. Mike Hurley's had enough of this. Well, he hasn't had enough. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this AJ Brown thing. What is it? We still have 2 months until that June 1 date.
Yeah.
But what I really am excited to talk about, your furniture bill.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
That's
right
on
off
the
the
table.
top the women's championship.
You don't have
today.
to dive into your full
It just hurts already.
receipt and your invoice and all that, but yeah, the men won. So
I can't believe the men won. When I purchased a couch, for anyone that doesn't know, I guess Gasper and Murray were talking about it, because I was talking to Gasper earlier this week,
okay,
and he was like, the promotion should be making the Final Four, not the championship. I'm like, you make a really strong point, Chris. But
right. And his stance yesterday was either make the Final Four
Or win
you
the whole
have to
thing.
win the championship, the national championship.
It's
Duke,
true.
UConn comes back, beats Duke, the buzzer beater by Braylon Mullins. They beat Illinois last night in the Final Four to advance to the national championship game.
So we're getting to know each other. You don't know me at all. I'm a pretty quiet, silent sports viewer. You know, I sit on the couch. I quietly enjoy my thing. I do not yell. I do not scream generally.
Sound on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I yelled when Mullins hit that shot. I yelled. I squeezed my daughter. She was like, that really hurt. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I've never had a couch on the line from a sporting event. So all of that ended up being for naught, because the women, you know much more about, you'll tell me as we get into this, like how this happened, because when I bought this couch in, I don't know, February, the women were not a consideration. I figured the men had a 30% chance of getting to the championship game, and I like those odds. You know, we needed a couch. Yeah, we'll take a shot. The women were never, that was 100%. I don't follow the women's college game.
Okay, to be clear, just to get to the game.
Championship.
That's it. Just all you're asking.
Just to get to the championship, to win.
Today, which is at 3:30 today.
But I saw one of the national comments, I don't know if it was like Nick Wright or someone of that ilk, said that the UConn women could beat the WNBA champs. Now that's absurd. I get you.
That was Gus Johnson.
Really?
Gus Johnson said that.
Obviously a crazy take, but it was enough for me to say, well, this UConn women's team is probably pretty good. So I was never even, and then I threw that game on Friday, and it wasn't looking good. And then briefly it was looking good. They scored 9 points in a minute and a half, and I said, all right, couch back on. And then it just collapsed again. So it's been a rocky weekend. And then to watch UConn I was just melting in my new couch that I have to pay for. Just kind of mad that UConn kind of dominated.
Right, start to finish, they had control of that game. It was never really ever in doubt. Illinois cut it to 5 at one point, or maybe 4.
I think 4. Yeah, it was like 61-57. And UConn had a couple ugly misses, and I think they were just like, stop doing. Like one of the best, the timeout that Tyrus Reed called was like, just call it. Like don't.
Brady got trapped.
Don't do something stupid. Like you have a lead, and it was a little tough to watch personally, but good for them, I guess. Good for them, I guess.
Yeah, we will entertain tournament talk on this program. I know some people don't want to talk about it. UConn is very low on their list of their priorities, but I think the tournament's the second game was brutal.
I went to bed.
You went to bed, yeah. Michigan, you didn't miss a thing. Michigan owned Arizona. Michigan actually lost their best player due to injury.
He stepped on a foot, right?
Yep. And he went out early in the first half, and he did. I don't remember if he ever wound up playing in the second half of that game, but Michigan owned that game from the very beginning. Lendeborg, he ended up playing 14 minutes. And Dusty May's point was, well, did you watch Duke and UConn? Someone asked him the question of, why are you playing your starters, your high leverage guys this late in the game? He said, did you watch Duke UConn? A 20-point lead with 10 minutes to go is not necessarily safe. So
yeah, I mean, there is probably a point when you win by 18 that you could call it the dogs, but You got to get there. Getting to the championship game, very important to a lot of people. You never know who's got a lot depending on that.
Okay, so we'll dive into the details if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'll give you
hurt
detail.
You that much. Okay.
Out on Gino. Gino needs to come in here and apologize to me, and then Don Staley and the rest of the world. Outrageous.
So there you go. We just stuffed a lot in 17 minutes, but we'll dive into anything and everything. But the first thought we had coming in was when Easter Sunday pops on the calendar, which it varies year to year. It could be March, as Mike said. It could be mid-April, early April, in this case this year. What comes to mind as a sports fan? Where does your brain go? Are you optimistic about the state of your teams? Because now 3 of the 4 major sports in the city are playing. The Red Sox are off to a shaky start, I think, to put it lightly, given their offensive woes. Pitching seems to have turned a corner these last couple of nights. And you got the Bruins and the Celtics making pushes for the postseason. Celtics, of course, in. They're vying for the 2 seed. The Bruins, unless they fall on their faces, they are, in all likelihood, going to be in with 5 games to go, including today. So give us a call, 617-779-0985. Mike Hurley, Brendan Glasheen. We're here until 3 o'clock on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Easter Sunday on the Sports Hub. We're here until 3 p.m. Brendan Glasheen and Michael Hurley. Are you a Mike guy or do you prefer Michael?
Either one, whatever.
We're getting
works.
to know each other. Our first time working together.
It's tricky with the Mike Hurley if you say it too fast. It's like Mike Hurley. It's kind of like can be. So that's why I tend to write Michael, but either one works. Usually when I sit here, I get called much worse things than my birth name. So this is
really?
This is nice of you to ask.
Like what?
Just a lot of name calling every time I've engaged with some afternoon hosts on the station. They like to make fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it happens.
It's still morning and it's a weekend.
Yeah.
So, Mike Hurley, Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley. We'll figure that out hopefully by 3 o'clock. Again, Bruins today at 3:30 here on the Sports Hub. And over on our sister station, WRKO. Am I saying that right?
I think it's ROR.
ROR. Thank you. WROR. Celtics, Raptors at the Garden.
Celtics' magic number to lock up the 2 seed is 3.
With 5 to go.
5 to go.
They go 4.
Knicks have 4 left.
Yeah, I was here Wednesday, and they beat Miami. And they beat Milwaukee Friday night. So I think going into the Milwaukee game, as long as they went 4-2,
yep,
and the Knicks would have to win out, which I'm not sure how the Knicks have done the last couple of nights.
They do have the head-to-head with the Knicks, and the Knicks have the tiebreaker. So technically still some stakes, but if the Celtics can win 2 of their last 5 games, I believe the Knicks will lose 1 of their remaining 4. So should be all right in the 2 seed, but still a little bit of stakes left for them as they, like the past 2 Celtics nights have been. I won't say non-competitive because the Heat kind of made it interesting, but yeah,
useless.
And again, let's move it along to the playoffs.
Yep, that was my thought after Wednesday night, the Miami game. Just they roll the balls out, they come ready to go, which is good.
Well, I think it's important that like Tatum and Brown are getting this work.
Yes,
like they're starting to elevate what they're doing.
Yes,
but if they're going to score 53 points in the first quarter, we've got to push this thing along. Like we got it.
Yeah, the small C concern I would say is their defense and the opponent shooting the 3 at the rate and percentage they have. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. The game slows down. Possessions are more valued. The whistle's different. Anywho, we'll do Celtics closer to when the game tips again on WROR at 3:30. So Bruins, Celtics, both at 3:30 today. Pregame at 3 for both of those games. Red Sox. Wanted to hit Red Sox. Red Sox are in action this afternoon, 1:35 against the Padres. You've got Ranger Suarez, newly acquired Ranger Suarez, given a nice, big, juicy contract after the Red Sox did not retain Alex Bregman. And the Red Sox pivot was not to go to offense. They turned to more starting pitching, which I feel many felt going into the offseason after reaching the wild card round. You make the playoffs. You lose to the Yankees in that wild card series. In addition to retaining Bregman, which they, of course, did not do, but the thought was retain Bregman, add another right-handed bat, and maybe bolster your rotation. They bolstered the rotation as a result of not retaining Alex Bregman. And Wilson Contreras seems to be turning himself into a fan favorite's probably strong this early in the year, but
likable.
Yeah.
Likable.
He's played for good organizations. I didn't really factor that in. He played for St. Louis most recently, started out with the Cubs, so he's played in markets that baseball matters, committed, dedicated fan bases. So that's what all that though. You know what they didn't do, or their lackluster offseason. And once the season begins, you go through spring training, you're kind of limping through it as a fan, waiting for the games to really matter. The WBC was engaging, I think, as baseball has really done a nice job of coming back to life here these last couple of years. The clock beneficial. ABS has been the big topic of the sport. But for the Red Sox specifically, you get back in contention. You have an ace. You've got a pretty good back end of your bullpen. You've got some promise in your lineup, up-and-coming hitters that are no longer prospects. They are major league players. Meyer had a moment on opening day, the 2-run homer off a lefty. So I'm throwing a lot at you, but it all comes out of the wash, and they're 2-6.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2-6. And the minute you go to 1-5 and you lose 5 in a row, you're digging yourself out of a hole again.
It felt kind of, it's obviously tongue-in-cheek to a degree. That series finale in Houston felt a little must-winny. Just for salvage some sort of, I don't know, some sort of positivity. And, of course, they did not win it. And then here you are again with the chance to lose another series. Today feels important. I know it's like there's nothing dumber than coming on in April and saying, you lose today, the season's over. I'm not saying that. It just feels like you need to start generating something positive. And a series win is at least step one there. And if you go in and you lose this game 2 in a row, like you're stacking your losses. Like they need to do something positive. That's been so few. Like it's been so difficult for them to generate anything positive. Even yesterday, the comeback, such as it was, you have a grounder, a comebacker to the mound is the reason, and a misplay is the reason you tied the game.
Yes.
Like there was a misplay in the infield. There was a bad throw from Tatis on when Cedon Rafaela went first to third. Like I don't know what happened on that throw. And then you had to come back to the mound with a misplay on the double play turn. It's just that's the only reason you were close to winning yesterday. Like you need to actually come out and maybe win. I don't know. Walker Buehler's pitching. You should be able to score some runs.
Right. The Red Sox let him go last year, early in the year, if I'm not mistaken. June, late May. Walker Buehler, former Red Sox, is pitching today against his old team. And it's Ranger Suarez today. The 1-5 is one thing. It's how it looked. Because you can live with losing games early in the year, I suppose. I'm not there. They have not looked buttoned up. And I can't let this part go. Wasn't last year, it was the year prior when they gave Alex Cora that extension. Right around, it's
like late July.
Yes.
Like July 24th.
After the deadline or just before the deadline?
Just before. And that was the year he showed up to spring training, was kind of like, no, I'm not going to manage my whole life.
Yes, right.
I read this book by Pep Guardiola, I'm sorry. And just, there's more to life than managing and coaching. And all year, he would just subtly call out the front office, and he would needle them for not giving him a good roster, and then he signed that extension, and it was good shit
that went
lollipop.
Away.
Yep. Oh, they're doing their best up there, and that was still Heim, I believe, right? That was before they made the
Correct.
changeover.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, Heim's great. Now you just we know the roster is what the roster is, but the point of having what you consider an elite manager or one of the better managers in baseball is to get the most out of them.
Bingo.
And like you said, them not being buttoned up, whether it's using the challenge system horribly, whether it's defense, whether it's just in the past, knowing how many outs there are. They've forgotten that in the field.
Already. You can live with that in August when you're through the grind of the season.
Yeah, there's just been, I would say that's where you need him to be him. And if he's not, then it's kind of what's the point?
Yep.
What's the point of having that advantage if you don't use it?
Pretty sure he makes $7 million a year. Is that like a 3-year, $21 million extension? I'm talking about him like he's a player.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. But that, to me, I can't let that part go. Because folks want to point to who do you blame for the start to the season. I understand your frustrations with how they constructed the roster and not improving the team. It does not feel like they improved. At best, they're treading water in terms of how the roster. That's at best. I don't even agree with that.
I think the pitching will be better than we saw in the first week.
Agreed.
I think that was obviously
you have to. That's their mission statement. Run prevention.
But perhaps that was evidence that the team wasn't ready to go, which again comes back to how they came out of spring training, which again goes right back to that seat at the end of the dugout.
Mm-hmm. Their lineup smells.
Oh boy. You don't like a Trevor Story 2 spot? You don't like Wilson Contreras in the cleanup spot? You don't like Massa batting third?
That's revealing, is it not? And you pinched hit your
Duran.
3-hitter. Who pinch?
Yeah.
You don't pinch hit your 3-hitter.
A lefty for a lefty too. Well, Duran batting in the, he's been leadoff, he's been third. Even just putting him there is just solely based on hope. It's just solely based that somehow he can find the 2024 version of himself. It's not based on, well, this is the best thing today. And that being said, I don't know what the outside of Willie, like what does Willie or Abreu have to do to move up in the lineup? I'm not sure. Like he should be your 3-hitter, but you're probably at that point, how much of a difference are you making? I'm not sure. But it speaks to the fact that it's the bottom of the 8th. You're down a run.
Yep.
Who do you have as a pinch hitter in your dugout? A guy named Andrew Monasterio who taps back to the pitcher and delivers a clutch RBI technically. Like that's indicative of a team that just doesn't have the firepower to win a lot of games.
The positive over their last 2 games is they're not striking out as much. They're putting the ball in play. It's not yielding anything. They had 8 hits, held to the 2 runs, pinch hitting Duran, head scratching. The lineup placement, part of me...
Oh, let me correct myself. It was Monasterio. That batted. Yoshida batted for... he came in as a pinch hitter.
For Durbin.
So my bad. Not a lefty.
That was a left for a right.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. And maybe their thought process on Abreu batting where he is just to provide balance. You can go more right, left. You balance. You know, there's no automatic outs, I suppose, at the bottom of the order. And he's at the bottom of the order. He's batting 5th.
Yeah.
And you want to basically sandwich the righty and Contreras in the middle of your order. And Contreras has some pop in his bat. He hit the home run on opening day. It just, I think, and this kind of goes back to our leadoff thought. It's Easter Sunday. The sports calendar flips to April. The weather's starting to turn. And even though they drive you crazy in terms of their lack of spending these last handful of seasons, it's really no longer becoming handful. It's become like the last half decade of their commitment to improving the roster. Mm-hmm. And when I say improving the roster, you traded for Crochet. Great trade. That's worked out. Paid him right away. You've got young, up-and-coming pop in your lineup. I mean, like, taking the next step, make yourselves uncomfortable, and really take yourselves to another level after laying a blueprint last season. They don't do that, but yet, with all that said, as a fan, even the most critical fan out there, you still say to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to watch, and I'm going to give this team a chance. Because you can't help yourself. I had friends that were already at Fenway this weekend. I was kind of jealous. Even though it was like, feels like 26 degrees, and it was 45 degrees yesterday at the ballpark. I'm like, ooh, that's...
Friday was nice.
Friday was beautiful.
Friday's
didn't look promising.
Today's tough.
But we're already doing, like, we're already picking apart their shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the shortcomings of the roster. What you said a few minutes ago, they are not getting the most out of their talent. They are not this bad.
Mm-hmm.
Their roster is not this bad. And
right.
You have to, that's why I think number 1 on the list is the manager, who I generally like Alex Cora. I liked him as a player, liked what he stood for. Those utility guys, Dave Roberts is doing a great job. Now the Dodgers spend, that's probably not a fair comparison, but I like those fringe guys that play a role. They're probably good, not necessarily rah-rah, but they're good dudes to have in the room to kind of keep everyone even keeled, and we're going to be all right and all that. And Cora can be petty. He has a certain way of transmitting messages.
I miss that. I miss grumpy Cora. I miss honest Cora. Like we were talking about before that extension was signed.
Yeah, but right. So to your point, he signs the extension. Now you don't have Devers, you don't have Bregman, you don't have vets. You've got Chapman, Contreras, and Sonny Gray. Those are your 3 oldest dudes on the team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I'm leaving anybody out.
Certainly.
And Trevor Story, I suppose, now at this point in his career.
Sonny Gray made his MLB debut when Roman Anthony was 9 years old, so he's been around.
Yeah, I guess a good sign is Sonny Gray didn't completely fall on his face in his first Fenway Park start as a Red Sox, because his career at Fenway is not good. So that was his first win at Fenway Park, I'm pretty sure, in his career on opening day. So that's why, like, when this holiday pops, I'm like, okay, where are the Red Sox? And yet again, they're off to a poor start, digging themselves out of a hole. And I'm talking about the product on the field, not the offseason. Once we get to the games and you pay the manager as a top-paid manager in the game, and you're not buttoned up. When I say buttoned up, I'm not expecting you to be your best. I understand the cliche in sports, you want to play your best baseball or play your best when you get to the end of the year. But when you have to dig yourselves out of a hole, not to mention when you look at the field, your division is improved.
It's a tough division.
The Yankees were underachieved last year. even though they beat you in the wild card. They should not be a wild card team. They should be at the top of the division or fighting for the top of the division every year. So by their standards, their manager has their feet held to the fire these last couple of years in Aaron Boone. Another fringe roster guy. You remember him when he played. He was no sure thing, or he was no middle of the order everyday player. The Yankees have got the best record in baseball right now. 7-1, a plus 26 run differential. Toronto was in the World Series last year. Baltimore's improved. Tampa is annoyingly good. They're not bad enough where they're going to... Tampa's got their act together, and you don't have your act together. You cannot run the risk of starting slow, but too late. You're 8 games into the year. You're 2-6. Now you have to lock in. So, it's only April 5th, and I'm already like annoyed and just disappointed. And then it triggers what you felt in the winter. So you give them a chance once the games count for real, and then you're just reminded of all the lack of spending and all the other stuff. I was frustrated as a fan. I put the game on Nessun 360. Mm-hmm. And I'm not doing the whole streaming rant. It's more so like, wait a minute, the Bruins are playing an hour later, and I can't watch both at the same time. There's no multi-view option on Nessun 360.
Well, you're clearly not paying enough for it. If it's only $35 a month, you shouldn't be expecting.
How is there not a multi-view? What's the point? I understand now if you have multiple devices, you can put the one game on your television and then wait a minute. If I pay for streaming, how can I get one on my TV and then one on my phone if I'm a streamer? You'd have to log into one account.
Oh, you can't do both. You might be able to.
You might be able to.
You might be able to crack in there.
That's just
but then you're hacking into your own account at that point. It should be a little bit more front facing.
Yeah.
And because why is anyone signing up for Nessun 360? To watch the Red Sox and the Bruins.
Yeah. For the games.
So
that is why you do
it. When they're both on, and this has been around since I worked at Nessun 1,000 years ago, their seasons overlap. It happens every year. They know what they're doing. They know how to do it. They could give you both at the same time.
Yeah. So I also use YouTube TV, and I love the multi-view option with Sunday Ticket. And I guess that's when I put the TV on, I'm like, ooh, I want to put a couple games on, and maybe I'll flip from one to the other. You can't flip with streams. Exit out, AirPlay. Oh, I opened another app to check this score. The AirPlay goes down.
I got to prove that I'm me. Stand by. I got to open the authenticator. You spend half your day proving that you're you.
That is annoying, and that is not good for the consumer. It is not good for the consumer. And I'm 33. I'm young.
You're young. You're a child. You're a young one. You're a techie, basically.
Even if you have cable, right? You'd have to use Nessun or Nessun Plus. So that last button's got to be you got to be good with the thumb on the last button.
I'm a cable guy until I die. You will find me dying of old age at 120 years old with my cable remote gripped in my hand. You will peel that thing from my cold dead hands. I will never cut the cord. I don't care. I don't know how much do I pay for my cable? I couldn't tell you.
You just keep paying it.
I am cable till I die. I'm the only one in my house that uses it. I'm down to one box. I've removed the extraneous one, so I have like streaming in the basement. And every time I go down there, I hate it on my new couch that I have to pay for over the next 12 months. It drives me nuts.
I guarantee you, though, my whole point is if the Red Sox had a better product going, I'd put my qualms aside regarding, but just everything about the experience irritates you when you're 2-6.
Well, to your point, it's early, but these games count the same as they do in September, and people sometimes lose track of that. Well, it's like, oh, now you're in the race. Now you know the stakes. If you win now, it still counts in September. And if you lose now, it also still counts.
Yeah, I want to hit some... I talked about this Wednesday after the Garrick Crochet loss. That's what put them at 1-5. But I thought he had a really strong quote. This is before the series that's taking part this weekend. But Garrick Crochet, to me, has... he kind of looked around the room and there was something there. We'll talk about that next.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
process that as you move forward here to the home opener?
It's embarrassing. And typically in the past I've played that stopper role, and today I just let the guys down, especially when we scratch one early in the first, and then for me to give it right back and then ultimately give them the lead at the bottom of the first, it's unacceptable. We're about to go home, and I expect us to have a better response once we get there, especially with an off day to really sit on these tough times. But today I felt like what made the adjustment. Ultimately, it was me that kind of screwed the game up for us.
Red Sox ace, and in my opinion, Red Sox leader. I know he's a pitcher. He only pitches every 5 days. I don't care. That's the leader of the Boston Red Sox at 26 years old in his second year with the team, Garrick Crochet. That was after the series finale in Houston that put the Red Sox at 1-5. Now, I know they've played 2 games since. Brendan Glasheen, Mike Hurley. We are here until 3 p.m. on this Easter Sunday. Feel free to join us at 617-779-0985. We're on YouTube as well, 98.5 The Sports Hub YouTube. We've got 56 folks watching on YouTube. See you guys in the chat. Thanks for being here. We'll shout you guys out if you have appropriate things that can be said on the radio.
Is that a prereq here? It's got to be appropriate.
Well, if you want to say it, I mean, I can read it and not say it.
Fair enough.
But either way, thanks for hanging out and being with us on your holiday. We'll do a quick segment here because I know we got to get to the top of the hour. Crochet, the question from Jemai Webster, friend of mine. Jemai does a great job over at Nesson. And the question was about the team. The question was about the team. The team, not about him. Now, he made it about him. That's what great leaders do, to me, is you watch quarterbacks every Sunday. The losing quarterback, you stand up at the podium, big backdrop, all the sponsors. You are the face, in theory. If you're a decent quarterback, you've got some stability in terms of being the franchise face. And Garrick Crochet's first words out of his mouth, it's embarrassing. He takes ownership. I actually missed this when I reacted to this, Mike, on Wednesday. He takes ownership because, like any pitcher, whether you're a reliever, starter, if your team gives you a lead, your job, that next half inning, you got a shutdown inning, right? You come out, lock it down. Doesn't have to be a clean 1-2-3, but you lock it down. You protect that lead, especially when you're on the road, right? You get out to a 1-0 lead, bam, shut them down. Don't let the momentum change. I missed this part. Trevor Story committed that error in the second.
Mm-hmm. Real tough one, too.
Yeah. Like, routine.
Little League.
Not a young guy, Trevor Story. He's been around. So I missed that. I did not include that in my analysis of this quote. Crochet takes the high road, and I'm sorry if you heard me do this Wednesday. I just can't get over how the demeanor. This guy's a 6'6" moose. And when I watch the games, I've been in tune with most of the games early in the year. Crochet, even when he's not pitching, he's at the top step of the dugout, as you should as a professional. But I think you could I get a feel with him that he is, he's happy he's not in Chicago with the White Sox, the disaster, and he comes here. He's hungry to be in Chicago's a big market, but in a market and representing a team that has a fan base and a clubhouse that is committed to the right stuff and wanting to win baseball games and be part of an environment that is excited about their future and excited about what they could possibly do if they put it all together. And he got a taste of that last year in that wild card series. And he was terrific. He was terrific in how they got there. He pitched over 200 innings, or maybe close to 250 innings, 18 wins. The team wins 2/3 of their starts. I saw the graphic on that game on Wednesday. Red Sox were 11-7 when Garrick Crochet pitched after a loss. So that's not great, but it's pretty good when you win 11 out of 18 after a loss. So that quote, when he uses the words embarrassing, and then he kind of turns it again to a team mindset. He talks a lot about himself and what he did wrong. So he mentions how he let the lead back. That's why I bring up the Story error. Well, I think he knows, like, well, if we played better defense, we don't lose the lead in that regard.
But I don't think he's being disingenuous. I think he is that type. Someone else that was like that would stand there and be like, I sucked, I need to be better, was Chris Sale. Like Chris Sale,
yes,
as he was unraveling, but he was genuine. When he would sit there, like, he couldn't figure it out for a few years, but at that point, Sale was what? A 7-time All-Star, like a top 5 Cy Young pitcher a half dozen times at that point, and he would stand there and be like, I sucked, and he would never point the finger at anyone else. And at least that part of Chris Sale was respectable because, like I said, it was genuine. And I think when Garrick Crochet says this, I don't think he's covering for an error. Like, I think he believes he should be able to overcome.
Oh, no, I agree.
I think it's real.
I'm just saying everything he did in his first year with the team, they are not where they were last year without him. So if there was any guy that could use loopholes and deflect, which I'm glad he didn't do that. But if there's any guy that gets a break for having a bad outing, like you said, it felt must-winny, they don't have a choice. If their plan this year is to be a run prevention team, they need to win 2/3 of Garrick Crochet starts.
Probably more.
And
What was it last year? What was the record in his starts? It was, they were about 500 without him. So if you do the math outside of that, it was like you kind of need that again.
He won 18 games. Now, that doesn't include what games they may have won if he had a no decision.
Let's see.
You might, yeah.
The team,
I had Chris
23-9 in his starts last year. You kind of need that again.
Okay. 32 starts, made every start. So he answered the questions about can he do the full workload thing. He's only 26 years old. He was here for a year. And last year, they had, as far as their lineup, everyday players, you have Alex Bregman. You have, I said this, maybe I'm being naive. Like, I thought like Rob Ruffsnyder was kind of a nice,
useful professional.
Yeah. Almost like a Cora type, if you want to go back in time 20 years ago. Just a good guy to have around, knows his role. I'm stretching. I'm reaching.
It's better than not having a guy like that. It's better than having no one that, like, I think the Bregman thing was serious. And it kind of got overstated a little bit, but it was also real. Like, it was also real.
It feels real now, too, when you don't see him in just his presence to
even
account for.
Like, before that, we've seen in that Netflix show, like, the importance that Justin Turner had on Jaren Duran.
I forgot about Justin Turner.
Like,
right? 2 years ago, they had Justin Turner.
Of all the sports.
And he went to Toronto and they won.
I actually, because Turner was on the team when they were terrible and they won, 74 games. I've argued, I've never actually looked it up. Every one of those wins, Justin Turner had a big hit. Like, that's my theory. Like, those players are important. Yes. Like, obviously, one of those guys is
former Dodger, had won, right? Bregman,
Yeah.
former Astro, had won. Say what you want about him. Banging drums, banging trash cans.
When you get a veteran that's been there, done that, and is invested in his younger teammates, it's a real important thing. And I hadn't really thought about that missing this year. You're right. Like, there isn't, I know, Contreras to a degree, but it's just...
Who's your backbone? And he just got here.
Yeah, you don't want to come
Bregman
in and...
had just got here, but Bregman had a relationship with the manager. There was pedigree, had won.
And seemed to approach things the right way. Like, when you go to...
He approached it better than the manager did.
True. That's true.
And that goes back to what we were talking about if you're just hopping in. You're paying the manager a lot of money.
Well, that was...
To be the... Michael Hurley. In the last half decade, because that's where we are now. It's 2026. They traded Mookie Betts in 2020. They moved on from Bogarts. Nice ovation the other day. Who has been the face of the Boston Red Sox for the last 5 years?
Alex Cora.
The manager. That's usually not good. It's like you talked about in the first segment. When Bill Belichick is up on the Sunday Night Football or previewing the next week's game, and you got to put your coach up there. No disrespect to Bill Belichick at the time and what he had accomplished. Now, of course, it unraveled, and it's not going well for him at the current moment. But that's usually not good if you got to put a coach or a manager to be the guy.
I was walking around Fenway last August. I want to say it was later in the season. It was obviously post-Devers, and they have the smaller merchandise stands. It wasn't, the main souvenir shop. And they had two jerseys up there. Trevor Story and Alex Bregman. And it's like, That's your marketability right now. Those are the guys they're banking on to sell merch and get people into Fenway Park. And obviously, one of those guys is now gone.
And the contract fooled a lot of people because that contract he signed had several option years attached to it, in which he could opt out after each one. He did because he had a great year. I think he figured out I did what they asked me to do. Performance on the field. No, he dealt with an injury. But I'm leaning into being
the man,
the mouthpiece, and a backbone for our younger players. You make the playoffs. You hadn't done that in a couple of years. You've established momentum going forward. You've got a guy, and he's not that old. He's in his 30s now, Alex Bregman. It's part of the deal now when you sign free agents. Any sport, you got to attach those
later years.
Those later years, that's part of it. Bring it back here.
Probably not worth smoking a cigar and posting it on social media when you do sign a player to that contract. Then,
right.
You're saying.
And for the record, every big middle of the order bat, because we're spoiled by what they've done in the 20-year run with 4 titles, Ortiz was that guy. Most notably to me, what jumps out about Ortiz, they're in the dugout of the... Ortiz was on the 18 team, right? No.
He was...
What World Series was Ortiz?
13, St. Louis.
That was the 13 team. Okay.
When he had the meeting.
Yeah, the meeting in the dugout. That's great. You watch that on the championship DVDs, and you're fired up. So we've been spoiled by a middle of the order bat being this galvanizing guy.
Like the guy that Rafael Devers was never going
And Manny Ramirez wasn't that guy. Yeah. Manny Ramirez was the shadow of... Manny was... Ortiz did that.
Sure.
And granted, Ortiz built himself to be that way because he came up so big. He kind of organically developed into that guy. I bring this back to Garrick Crochet. He's looking at it to me in that post game. They have an off day the next day. They're sloppy again in the field. They lost sight of the count. The manager's benching his battery mate in Narvaez. He comes out and says, embarrassing and unacceptable. 6 games into the season. He was, at that point, the only man responsible for their only win to that point. I would understand him if we want to read that quote of just talking about himself, I would almost get the embarrassing, unacceptable part if he was 0-2 and he was bad in 2 starts.
Sure.
He was excellent opening day. Got better as the game went on.
8 strikeouts, 6 shutouts.
Right. Most of his strikeouts were later in that game. The ABS was a factor, too. Anthony had
get one.
Some hits. Yep.
Well, he got one, too.
He got one,
ending
too.
Strikeout.
That, to me, was like, guys, I'm not settling for this. And I know it's hard. It's uncommon to point to a starting pitcher to be one of your leaders because they only pitch every 5 days. I would push back on that. A lot of great pitchers, when they won here in 18, 13, 07, 04, Kurt Schilling was an outspoken guy, rallied guys. Schilling had his hands in the fight when they brawled with A-Rod and Varitek. Pedro had his woes against the Yankees, but Pedro was a well-respected voice in that clubhouse. 13 team.
You had Lester, you had Lackey. Different
Beckett,
types.
before
Beckett.
it went off the rails in 07, Beckett was that guy. Alpha presence. Lester. So don't tell me starting pitchers haven't had a role in leadership.
And of course, don't forget in 18, Ryan Dempster. Oh, the 13, Ryan Dempster. Clutch. The way he threw at A-Rod. Was it A-Rod? Right?
Ryan Dempster was on that team.
Yeah, he
Jake Peavy was too.
Yeah, I don't think Dempster made the playoff roster, but...
Right. All I'm saying is, good for Garrick Crochet. The whole "it's early" thing. That quote to me did not feel like someone who thought, it's early, we'll be fine. That was not what he said.
Urgency.
What
they lacked this whole week and a half of the baseball season.
Yep.
Urgency. Pressure. I mean, like I said, yesterday you did come back and tie the game in the 8th inning. Barely. Grounders and a grounder through the right side and then a comebacker to them. Like, it wasn't exactly what the Padres did in the 9th against one of the best closers in the game. An absolute smoke job double followed by an RBI single. Like, that's a more legitimate... Like, you know what I mean? It all counts. Mm-hmm. But in terms of an inspirational inning of baseball when you need it, like what the Padres did was much bigger than what the Red Sox did.
Okay, we got to break for the top of the hour headlines here with Michael Hurley. I see your phone calls. We'll go to your phone calls right after the break and the headlines.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. World champion Boston
All the way
Celtics.
three, Eddie hits it.
WBZ FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Red Sox lost last night at Fenway. This one a 3-2 loss to the San Diego Padres. Aroldis Chapman took the loss after giving up back-to-back hits in the ninth inning. Now 2-6 on the season. The Red Sox look to win the series this afternoon with first pitch scheduled for 1:35. The Bruins lost their second straight game in regulation, falling 3-1 to the Lightning in Tampa. The Bruins still sitting comfortably in the top wildcard spot, but this afternoon they'll take on the Flyers, who are one of four teams just 6 points back of Boston in the standings. You can catch the game on the Sports Hub. Puck drop at 3:30 in Philadelphia. And the Celtics round out today's Boston sports action, coming off a 32-point win in Milwaukee. They'll host the Raptors at TD Garden at 3:30 this afternoon. You can listen to that game over on WROR beginning at 3 p.m. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit newenglandoilchange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Michael Hurley. Next update in 1 hour.
Diving effort.
But he's got a breakaway. Goes to the backhand.
Throws it in front.
Coming to the slot.
The Sports Hub. The Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Happy Easter Sunday, just after noon. Here at 98.5 Sports Hub in the Town Fair Tire Studios in Waltham. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley. We are with you until 3 p.m., taking you up until Bruins pregame. Bruins and Flyers today in Philly at 3:30. And on our sister station, WROR, Celtics and Raptors at TD Garden, also at 3:30. Phone number is 617-779-0985. We'll go in the longest order of wait. Justin is in Natick. What's up, Justin?
Glash, it's Penny. What's going on, brother? Happy Easter.
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. You asked the question earlier what Easter reminds me of, and it's been over 10 years now, but you and I both know that the Elite Eight comeback to Syracuse over Virginia is what comes to my mind first.
Oh, yeah.
But I was putting packs together for my cousin's daughters for their Easter baskets, and I packed one of your close friend and partner, Lisa Leslie, so I was thinking about you earlier this morning. But with the news of the Sun not coming to town and their relocation, wanted to ask you what the likelihood you think of either the Chisholm Group or anybody else in town bringing a WNBA team to Boston. I'll hang up and listen, brother. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Penny. Yeah. Yeah, we can get into that later. Been a tough week for the folks of Connecticut. Well, not just the women's team losing. The men's team's doing great. They're in the national championship, but the Connecticut Sun sold to the Houston Rockets. So this summer will be the final season of Connecticut Sun basketball at Mohegan Sun Arena.
Does not make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, there's people above my pay grade that will try to make it make sense to you. But essentially, the SparkNotes version, any sale of a team has to be approved by the WNBA governing board. Houston had a portfolio to be a potential expansion market, and the league pretty much told the Mohegan Tribe, yeah, we know you want to maybe go to Boston or Hartford, but we're actually going to go with Houston because that's what we want to do, and that's what we see that is best fit for the growth of our league. That's kind of what happened.
In doing so, cutting off the entire northeast quadrant of
Yes.
the United States from
Correct.
having a professional team.
Right. The most northeast team you have now is the New York Liberty.
Well, because one thing about Boston sports fans and New England fans in general is they associate with New York for their sports. You know, if they want a baseball team, it's the Yankees or Mets. If you're in Western Mass, that's where you go, right?
To spin it forward, a market I think eventually, Boston specifically, will have a team and will work. When we did, so the last 2 years, the Connecticut Sun have played a game at TD Garden in Boston. And this past summer, it was Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The year before that, it was the Los Angeles Sparks, who they're big up and coming. They have two big stars. They have Rakia Jackson from Tennessee, and they have Cameron Brink from Stanford. And Cameron Brink was actually injured, did not play in that game. The Sparks were horrible. Now, you got the L.A., Boston thing. I get that, and I think it's going to be the Sparks this year at TD Garden in August. I'd have to double-check my calendar. Point being, they banged the building out twice.
Yep.
It wasn't just Caitlin Clark being a draw. I think Boston has a break from your baseball team who just can't seem to get their act together. It's a nice second. And by the way, you got the Revs too. I get all in. You see the rise of women's hockey, the rise of women's soccer at a national level. And markets are popping up. You see more and more pro athletes from different leagues, NBA players, NFL stars investing in these leagues. Like, women's sports is on the rise, folks. It has been. It has been from a basketball standpoint. I understand the meaning. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, what they've meant. But what I think women's college basketball has, and I think we're going to start seeing it now more with the men's side, players are staying in. Now, this is even pre-NIL. College players, college student athletes are staying in college longer. Like football, you got to play 3 years before you're draft eligible. Right, so I'll use Jaden Daniels.
He played 41 years, I'm pretty sure, in college.
Yeah, right. So the COVID years make this a tricky discussion. That's over now.
Well, I think like Jeremiah Smith, like that guy was ready for the NFL after year one, and he still has to play another year.
Right, there are still some guys in this up, and you did draft talk with Barth last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Barth did draft talk, and I tried to keep up.
And you rode the caboose. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get back on track. Caitlin Clark became what she became because she stayed in college for so long, and you got a chance to follow her. The one and done thing with the men robs you as a fan because you don't get to really learn the player and learn their meaning to a team. And that's where I think that's changing, because now you're seeing, with the money being what it is, players are more enticed to stay longer in school because the money might be better, or they up their draft stock and they can get better first-round money going pro. Now, there are exceptions. Cooper Flagg, the Boozer, Cameron Boozer from Duke. So Duke's like a bad example, but you're seeing more and more athletes. I think you'll see more and more men's college basketball players stay in college longer because the money's great. They're getting paid pretty damn well, and you get a chance to learn them. And then you're as a fan, you're like, I want to see what they look like when they go to the next level. Did the WNBA master that well 2 years ago? No, I don't think they did a great job, but I think you learn, you live and you learn. I think the transition from college to pro in women's college basketball, a lot of parallels to what you as a fan anticipate when you watch college football. Let's go to Bud, who is in Medford, who has thoughts on the Red Sox. What's up, Bud?
Yeah, guys, earlier you guys mentioned when the Sox aren't quite buttoned up yet, and one of you said that basically one of the guys lost the count, lost how many outs were in the inning, not acceptable. Be more acceptable if it was like in August. I don't know how it's ever acceptable.
Fair enough.
Fair. I mean, the professional ball players, anywhere they look, there's in the stands, every wall has the count, has the pitch count, has the outs. They're constantly communicating with each other. I don't know how you can ever say, well, it's August. I can see him not knowing how many outs there.
I'm trying to make it a problem, Bud, seem like I'm just taking it to the nth degree of okay, meaning this early in the year, we're paying attention closely. But in August on a random Wednesday night, you play
17 games in a row.
It might seep through the cracks, but it's noticeable because they're starting so poorly. So you just add it into the blender of what they've been. I hear you though. You're not wrong. You're 1,000% right.
It's always a bit of
but
an
it stands out because of all of the myriad of factors of why they've been so bad this early in the year. Matt's in Rhode Island. He has a thought on the Red Sox. What's up, Matt?
Anyways, so after Milwaukee stole Quinn Priester last year, they knew just who to call when they were trying to unload Durbin, who went 0 for 30 to close out the last year. If you go into advanced stats like his exit velocity, his hittable ball rate. Like, it's all in the bottom 3% of the Major League Baseball. And you don't need those stats. You can just tell by the way the kid swings the bat. Like, I don't think he's a Major League player, never mind in the AL East. And just let me go to first base real quick because you need that right-handed bat and you need a baseman. Alonso got 5 for 150, and they said they were in on him, but everyone knows they really weren't in on him, right? And talk about a professional hitter. Like, everyone's like, Contreras is a professional hitter. Peter Alonso is the guy that you needed, and you really weren't in on that. And then you go pay a bum like Ranger Suarez, who Dave Dombrowski spends money like water. He wanted no part of the kid. Gave him 5. I mean, it's just a clown show up there in the front office. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Well, I can I jump in on the Durbin trade? Because
sure.
You make the Devers trade last year. It is what it is. To have none of that anymore, and to me, much like in the NFL, whether it's like quarterback or left tackle, like the most valuable commodity you can have, in baseball, it might be left-handed starting pitching. You could make that case. So I don't know that...
Which they have.
But I'm not going to say Kyle Harrison is going to turn into like a Cy Young winner or anything, but to trade him for a 5'6" third baseman is bizarre.
And Durbin, did he win NL Rookie of the Year?
He was runner-up. That gets brought up a lot. It gets brought up a lot. Not the Rookie of the Year, the runner-up Rookie of the Year. So
that's annoying.
I would say he's better than his. What does he have? 2 hits on the season.
And that was a good poke up the middle the other night or the other day, opening day. Cut off the schneid. But he couldn't hit the ball out of the infield for 6 games.
You like watching him play third? You like those throws across the infield? It's just something doesn't quite look right there. He's probably more of a second baseman. Especially, we talk about Bregman's bat all the time. I thought his defense last year was so
tremendous.
Underrated. There were so many innings that were shortened by him making plays that a lot of guys aren't going to make. And I don't know Durbin well enough at this point, but his first impression is not one that's going to make life easier for the Red Sox pitching staff.
And what did we talk about all of last spring when they signed Bregman? He's going to shore up your defense because Devers his shortcomings defensively. They had to fix it. Run prevention, better defense. And yet, here we are, another season, defensively not sharp. George in Malden just hopped on. What's up, George?
Hi, Trevor Story should never be the number 2 hitter. He should be a number 7 hitter because he strikes out too much, never comes through in the clutch. Plus, the third base situation, Monasterio is a better hitter than Durbin. He should be playing third base.
Okay. I can't argue with that, George. Big J journalist Tony Maserati went to Fenway Park and asked a question to Alex Cora ahead of, I get my days mixed up. It was ahead of opening day on Friday.
Yeah, Friday morning.
And he asked him about, how do you fix strikeouts? And Cora basically, in a word salad, said, you can't, but our strikeout rate is at 28%. Can we get it to 18%? But he basically acknowledged we have a roster of dudes that can't help themselves. And he said we need to swing less. And he laughed when he said it because that sounds silly, but we need to swing less.
Yeah.
Trevor Story is batting 108 with 1 homer and 2 RBI.
Yeah, they have him batting second. Like I said, Duran batting in the top 3 is based on hope. They have Story in that spot.
Based on hope?
Hoping that last year is the norm and not the exception. 3 years prior to that, not a guy you'd ever consider batting there. Obviously, he probably started there. Last year was a good year for Trevor Story. Was that the norm, or did you just get a good year out of him and hope you can get another one? As for
may I add also, when you have Trevor Story last year, you're going into it from his shoes, knowing I've had issues staying on the field with my injury history, which is not that sucks. I mean, say what you want about him. That's all. You don't want to see someone get hurt, but you also know, I don't have to be an anchor for the lineup. When I have Alex Bregman and I have Rafael Devers at the time, early in the season, batting in or around me.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're getting a lot more. It's easier to hit when you're in a better lineup for sure. And as for, should Monasterio be in over Durbin? That to me is a deck chairs situation. Not, with all due respect. I mean, sure. Why not? Monasterio is 29 years old? At least with Durbin, there's the upside potential, but We'll find out.
We're not quite there yet, I think, but it feels like it. Trevor Story 4 for 37 at the plate at this point in the season, and he's already committed 2 errors at short.
How many strikeouts?
How many times has he struck out? Trevor Story has struck out 15 times.
15 of his 33 outs. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley with you until 3 p.m. here on the Sports Hub. Jeff Williams is behind the glass. We're talking Red Sox. We can mix in some other stuff. Anything is on the table. We got Bruins and Celtics later today. Michael Hurley lost out on free furniture because of the UConn women's basketball team.
No, because of Gino Auriemma. I'm going to let the players off the hook.
That's what Gino did.
So who was it? Sarah Strong?
Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd.
Why'd she rip her jersey? What was that all about?
She was upset.
That was a bad night for all of us.
You want to talk about the furniture when we come back?
Yeah, let's do
it. All right, let's just get this out of the way. All right, we'll talk about Michael Hurley's furniture debacle when we come back.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
12:28 on the Sports Hub on this Easter Sunday. Thanks for hanging. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley with you until 3 p.m. Jeff Williams is behind the glass. Celtics and Bruins will mix those two teams in later in the program. You can hear the Bruins here on 98.5 starting at 3 o'clock into the 3:30 puck drop. And on our sister station, WROR, Celtics Raptors at the Garden, 3:30. So a pair of the winter sports teams are playing at the same time today. This, again, introduces... Now, look, I mean, you can get the Celtics on NBC Sports Boston. And if you get the Nesson app, you can fire up the Bruins. See what I mean? That's doable.
You got triple header action today, though. With the Red Sox in there, too. A lot going on.
And...
This is what the radio's for, baby.
Now, if you are into the women's national championship game...
Not me.
South Carolina, led by the great Dawn Staley. South Carolina and UCLA for the national championship. That's also at 3:30 today. I think it's on ABC.
I won't be tuned in. I'm on protest.
You're on protest. So, Jordan's Furniture had a promotion to appease folks to buy furniture between late January?
Yeah, into March. I think they extended it to early March. It may be the original promo was earlier, but lo and behold, they stretched it out. As UConn was having sort of a late season run, they probably got a lot more purchases.
Right.
Yeah. I don't remember when I bought it. I could check, but I needed a couch. And I had maybe casually made a walk around Jordan's Furniture up in Reading, of course, under the shadow of Wally the Green Monster, getting splashed by the liquid fireworks. Have you been up there? They have the climbing area with the ropes and all that. I went up there with my daughter. I did the zip line.
No kidding.
Not an enjoyable experience for a man of my size and age. Great for the kids.
Your kids did it?
My oldest did it, yeah.
Okay.
She loved it. She's probably 60 pounds. I think that's ideal. Me, pushing it. Anyways, saw the promo, knew of it, and needed a couch, so I figured let's make a go at it. The way I looked at it was this wasn't a great year for UConn men's basketball. It wasn't like years past maybe, but I figured they would be one of the 6 best teams in the country.
Men's team.
Yep. Men's team. I figured
preseason number 5.
And they had what? They lost 3 times. I want to say they weren't dominant. That's why they were a 2 seed.
They had a really difficult non-conference schedule. And Dan Hurley, I'm a fan of Dan Hurley. Just want to get that out there. They purposefully did that because now one difference from this year to last year, maybe a few previous years, Dan Hurley in Maui for the Maui Invitational, and he writes about it in his book, Never Stop. They didn't have success in Maui. They were not good last year. And they almost beat Florida. They were the team that came closest to beating the eventual national champion, Florida. UConn wound up being an 8 seed in last year's tournament, and they lost to Florida in the round of 32 in a great basketball game. And Florida winds up coming back against Houston in last year's national championship, and Florida is your national champion. Of course, now that will change. UConn is back in the national title game for a 3rd time in 4 years. But the men and Gino...
5 losses this year, by the way.
5.
5.
They had a really ugly loss to Creighton at home. They lost by 15.
It was the final with 7 points, but
it was bad.
Yeah.
They got punched in the mouth.
But then they came back. They beat St. John's a couple games. They beat St. John's 72-40. So at that
was
point,
a revealing game.
I'm like, we're cooking. Then they did lose to St. John's before the tournament. But
yes, in the Big East championship game.
Anyways, I looked at it as,
and they lost to Marquette to wrap up their road slate in the regular season. Go ahead.
I looked at it not as a pighead, not as a caveman, but I only considered the men because to me the women were far and away the best team in the country. There was not going to be making the championship game was really not something I even really considered. I figured whoever they faced in the Final Four, because it was going to be, who did USC beat in the Elite Eight? It was another blue blood type team. I forget, but either way,
LSU
sounds possible. Yeah, but it was going to be a tough game. But I think UConn women were 5.5-point favorites on Friday night, so they were still supposed to win. Friday night was a bad night. Friday night was a bad night in New England. Whether you're a sports fan or a fan of not paying for the couch that's in your basement, it was shocking. It was shocking. I had circled on the calendar for the whole family to sit around Saturday night and watch UConn, Illinois.
They played Notre Dame.
Okay.
In the previous round.
So I knew you were going to get a tougher game in the Final Four, obviously, but that was the plan. Saturday night, we're watching UConn play Illinois, and there's a couch on the line. And you know what?
You were robbed of that opportunity.
And that's the thing, because I did finance this couch, okay? 12 months, 0%. Why not, right? So,
okay. Do you have the couch yet?
I have the couch. The couch came a few weeks ago, yeah.
Oh.
You know what's funny is it was delivered.
You sat on this couch and watched this game on Friday night.
I didn't watch Friday night. I watched last night's game, which was almost worse, when UConn punched their ticket. But it's kind of funny, the delivery guy came, cut open the plastic on the back, and just sliced right through the back of the couch. And he was like, whoa, it was like that when I opened it. I'm like, yeah, because of your box cutter. But either way, we got that solved. We got it replaced. The Jordan people were great. But 12 months financing, 0%. It's kind of like a free couch anyway. It's a couple $100 a month for a year. It's going to be fine.
And you needed one.
Needed one anyway.
Okay.
Fills the room. It's a nice couch. But what I lost was the joy. Like, sports gambling at this point, it's kind of passe, I got this parlay, I got this 3-leg parlay. I missed the 5th leg on my parlay, or else I would have won $700. No one cares.
It drives me nuts.
Enough.
I have friends that do it, and it's like, enough.
Yeah, just hearing about it. Not a couch though. Like, there's furniture on the line, and
that's cool.
I just missed the joy of having that experience, and that's tough. But I will say, what I do feel good about is after I bought the couch, my 2-year-old, she really took to Jordan's furniture. It's it's like Disney World for her. Like,
yeah.
I don't need to get on a plane and go see Mickey. I can just take her to Jordan's. She loves it. She's like, I want to go to Jordan's. So we're walking around, not like maybe a week after I bought the couch, and I'm like looking at everything as if it's free. I'm like, oh, could use some end tables, some nightstands. Could use a new dresser. And I'm like doing the math, man. I'm like, this could be a huge win, but I resisted, because then I would currently be in debt and I would be ruined. So at least I stopped myself.
So there was no limit on how much you could buy.
It was unlike everyone talks about the 07 Red Sox promotion. That wasn't everything. That was like, if you bought a table and chairs, the table would end up being free. If you bought a bed and a dresser and nightstands, the dresser would be free, but you still ended up paying. This was anything you bought.
Wow.
So like, you could have done some damage and just prayed. Then Friday night was way worse for you. I actually contended it would be funny if, like, who's the guy that's still with the ponytail? Is that Barry or Elliot? Elliot.
Yes.
If Elliot called me Saturday morning, he's like, hey, Mike, sorry about the UConn women. You want to go double or nothing tonight? Men win. I'll give you another couch. Men lose. I'm taking your couch, and you still got to pay for it. I would have considered his offer. That would have been great. He just calls individually, everyone like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to double down on this one? But yeah, it was just disappointing that we didn't, like, the men. That was supposed to be the
I thought the men were going to lose to UCLA in the round of 32. I was down on the men and how they had played down the stretch going into the tournament. And UCLA had been playing better. Mick Cronin, that region.
Yeah, that was a Friday night game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a stressful.
That region, it was loaded with coaches. Loaded. You had Duke.
You had Michigan State.
So you have Dan Hurley, Rick Pitino.
That's true. St. John's was in there too.
Tom Izzo, Mick Cronin, John Shire. While he's not in the same, what has he done? If anything, he's just blown leads.
He loses a lot of those games.
Yeah, and that speaks to our discussion last segment about, Duke will be there as far as a preseason favorite, but when you get into these big games, they're young. They haven't been in the limelight like this in terms of the actual basketball game. So that was a tough region as far as blue blood coaches.
And then that's the thing, when you had that Duke comeback a couple Sundays ago, or was it last
week?
It was a week ago. Wow, It's been a long week. And it's kind of like, I was prepared for the disappointment of going through that just to lose Saturday night, because that game was a loss. They were losing big, it just wasn't happening. They were shooting 1 for 17 from 3, or was it 2 for 17 from 3 until the final 3.5 minutes? Like it was just a disaster. And I said, okay, it's over. And then they came back, and it was, wow, what a gift. But I was prepared for the letdown from the men. It just wasn't a consideration for the women. So the fact that the only thing that I'm heartened by a little bit is that the whole country has sort of picked up on the disappointment because of Gino's antics melting down at the end. And you know what? Some people, when you don't lose a lot, don't know how to lose. That was incredible. It was an incredible meltdown. And to say she didn't shake my hand pregame when there's pictures of it, and then be like, oh, well, it wasn't the specified.
Correct. Yeah, there's a formality, a certain moment in the pregame stage script, as if you're the stage coordinator, not the broadcast, the in-arena presentation.
She didn't shake my hand the right way at the right time. And it's like, you didn't care if you wouldn't have cared if you won. And even his in-game interview before that to complain about the refs and talk about the jersey being ripped.
It was end of third quarter with Holly Rowe.
In the video,
and you could sense where his mind was at that point.
You need a coach to coach the game, and they didn't. They were just lost at sea out there. And South Carolina just kept scoring. You know, both teams missed a lot of shots, but the difference was like transition offense. South Carolina would just go down and put the ball in the bat, and it was like they're never going to get over this because they're just clanking threes. Brutal.
Yep.
They needed a coach. Instead, they had someone more worried about the officials. And like, did he have a point? Okay, sure, a little bit, but make that to the officials. I don't know. The fact that he did it on his TV interview showed you where his mind was at.
Yeah, well, I have some leftover thoughts on this, and Gino, the UConn women's basketball social media channels, they put out Gino's apology, so we can dive into a little bit of that. Red Sox are at 1:30. I guess the tarp's down at Fenway Park. Great.
People there though. People are in the ballpark.
There. They're filing in. Sorry, man. Sorry about the furniture. You have the couch already.
It's a nice couch. I like it. a lot.
All you're going to think about is Gino Auriemma.
Maybe I'll get a poster of him down there and just maybe just the rubber darts that stick to it. Just when I get bored, just thanks.
Or you
Gino.
could put it under one of the cushions, and that can be your certain spot on the couch. If you have to let one out.
Yeah. And I realize I sound like a degenerate gambler. Be like, this guy owes me a couch. But it was just such a fun promotion. Like, it wasn't like I bet $2,000 on UConn men and women to make the finals. Like, there was merchandise involved. Their kids could be involved. It was a family event. So
the point is that the team you thought that would let you down didn't. Correct. It was the opposite.
Correct. Like the UConn win the other night was thorough. It was impressive. I would have enjoyed it last night if not for the fact that I understood the implications of what it meant, and it's that I was 38-0 UConn women's win away from a free couch. But it's all right. We soldier on.
All right. Leftover thoughts on the tournament, men's and women's Final Four. And we'll dive in. We're still taking calls on the Red Sox, Celtics, and Bruins. We'll dive into those teams. See some calls on the board. We will get to those next. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley, here on Easter Sunday until 3 p.m. on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on the Sports Hub. We're with you until 3 p.m. Brendan Glasheen and Michael Hurley on this Easter Sunday. Phone number is 617-779-0985. We just talked about Michael Hurley's furniture debacle thanks to the UConn women's basketball team and their loss in the Final Four on Friday. South Carolina, UCLA now play for the national title this afternoon. We'll go back to the phones. Dean is in Shrewsbury on the Red Sox. What's up, Dean?
Hey, I agree with Hurley that Caleb Durbin just has much more upside than Monasterio. Is that how you say his name?
Monasterio? There's a T in it.
Monasterio. I mean, he was just third in Rookie of the Year voting in the NL last year. I agree with Maz that we might be harsh on him unduly because he's being hit out of the fifth position instead of like the seventh, eighth, or ninth. So that, you know, we look at him as the second right-handed bat when he really should be the third one. And if he was in his proper position, we would be able to appreciate him much more in the upside he might bring to the organization.
Thanks, Dean. Yeah, that's just not where they are, though.
There's a trickle-down effect of not having a good lineup, is guys being
out of place.
Yeah. Good point by Dean, too. I told you earlier, runner-up. He was third. Not even close. Not even close to the Rookie of the Year. Like, we don't... It's fine to use that as an upside discussion, but it shouldn't be used as some sort of feather in a cap to finish third in NL Rookie of the Year.
No. And he hit fifth, if I'm not mistaken, in the Cincinnati series?
Yeah.
He was their five-hitter.
Well, Abreu started fifth. I think he started sixth, and then Abreu moved to fifth after opening day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But it's the same point. Like, he should be an eight-hitter.
Just roll, not even just roll acceptance, roll identity is a major issue with that lineup.
So, yeah, he batted fifth on opening day and has batted sixth in his six other starts with Monasterio.
And again, I think that's more to do with a left-right combo thing, right? Because if you lead off with Anthony, it alternates left-right the whole lineup. Meyer hit seventh,
and that's Anthony's led off in all of his games. He obviously didn't play the series finale in Houston. Story has started every game in the two-hole, and Contreras every day in the cleanup spot, and everything else has shifted just a little bit.
Do you have a strong take on... It doesn't bother me because I've accepted where the game is. Do you care that Anthony's leading off and not hitting second or third?
I guess we all had to adjust when it was a couple years ago where like Aaron Judge is hitting leadoff, and you're kind of like...
Ohtani leads off for the Dodgers.
This is not the baseball that I know. You know what I mean? Like, that guy is a cleanup hitter, so I understand...
Is that how your men's league does it? Like, does your best hitter hit first?
They're all listening right now, so that would be a bold thing to start calling. But yeah, you have your RBI guys in the third and fourth spot, and you have your fast on base guys first and second. Like, that's traditionally what you want to do. I understand it's different. I do wonder if Anthony is more of a power guy, or even like batting leadoff is not for everyone. Like, there's a different role. You have a different responsibility where getting on base maybe takes a premium. Like Aaron Judge, when he moved to the leadoff spot with it. He led the league in solo home runs, I'm pretty sure. And it's kind of like, well, no kidding.
Right.
The worst hitters are hitting in front of him. Lo and behold, he gets up with the bases empty a lot. So, I don't know. Anthony's a different player. We're still learning him at the big league level. It is just sort of a big responsibility. But to Dean's point, sort of, who would bat leadoff? You can put Story there?
That's the problem.
You don't have a lineup.
On both sides of the spectrum. You lead him off because you have no faith someone ahead of him can get on base.
And put Story there?
And then the other problem on the other side of that is he finds himself leading off many innings outside of just to start the game because no one at the bottom of the order is getting on base or does not have promise to do so because your lineup isn't very deep.
Rafaela batting ninth.
Who had some clutch moments last year. He had a nice big hit the other night on opening day.
Every hit he has is clutch, it feels like.
Yeah.
Every other at bat, free swinger. Big hit yesterday.
That's another point, too, though. Now, they haven't struck out as much the last two games. But you can't be a heavy strikeout team if Roman Anthony's your leadoff hitter, because you need to work counts, whether guys are on or not, to make it so when Roman Anthony comes up for a second, third time, you're getting a starter in a vulnerable position. They're later into the outing. The third time through. If you're not working counts, then it kind of defeats the purpose.
And I wonder, it's interesting too, because you have Anthony at the top of the lineup because you're saying this is our young stud that we believe in. This is where he's going to be. He's our leadoff guy.
Well, and they can get the most at bats out of him.
For sure.
Probably maybe get 5 a game.
Even last year,
on a decent day.
I could probably check this, but I like to just go off vibes. Anyway, I feel like when he came up last year, he was maybe the 7th hitter for a minute and then rapidly moved up the lineup. That might be true. I could double check myself. But it's interesting that this year you have Meyer obviously breaking camp with the big club, batting 7th. You know, they're not saying he's going to be our 2-hitter, so he's our 2-hitter now. They're kind of putting him on a development plan, which is probably better for him. There's less stakes, I would say, being the 7-hitter as opposed to the leadoff guy. But with Anthony, they're like, nope, he's in there. And it speaks to the if you had more Bregmans and Devers and everywhere else, like if you had a big league, big power lineup, you could bring Anthony along at a better pace. But instead, you're saying, no, kid, you have to be our best player right now, which is a little unfair.
I don't. Because of the new rules now in baseball, if you're a reliever, you have to come in and face a minimum of 2 batters, right? That's a new rule? 3. Okay. So why are we still fixated on the left, left thing?
Well, because if you bring in the reliever, you're going to get an advantageous matchup if you're, alternating. If the righty comes in to face the righty, he's going to have to face the lefty after. Whereas
because if it's 3, yeah, okay.
In the old days, you could change him. It was great. Let's see Joe Madden waddling out there for a 15th time.
And then if you're the manager on the opposite dugout, okay, go start swinging a bat.
Yeah, we're just faking it. By the way, Anthony batted 5th when he came up last year for 4 games, and then moved to the 3rd spot. So it was very quick that they got him out of it.
It's bothering me because there's probably a way to look this up, but I don't know how to. How many games did the Red Sox have last year when they had the trio of Bregman, Devers, Anthony?
Oh, it was like 4, wasn't it? Didn't they trade?
Wasn't a lot.
So Anthony came up June 9th and played through the 13th.
And Devers was traded.
Last game was the 15th.
So we didn't even get a cent.
And you know what? That was when Bregman was hurt.
Okay.
So we never
got that.
You never got the full.
And you said Anthony hit 5th, right?
5th. It was Duran, Devers. This feels like I'm talking about 20 years ago. You know who batted 3rd when Anthony came up? Abraham Toro was in the 3 spot.
Oh my gosh.
Story was clean up once. Narvaez was clean up. Remember they were doing that because he was hitting well. Like
Romy Gonzalez would hit 5th or 4th from time to time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we talk about the modern day baseball and what lineups are. The concept of a cleanup hitter now, I'm not caught up with yet. Like it's not.
Okay, but you just said it though. Duran led off, and then Devers hit 2nd, so they went left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That might be what you have to do. I'm talking about the Story thing.
You want Meyer in the 2-hole?
Duran.
Oh, Duran. Yeah, but still, hope. You're hoping. I don't know.
At least he has familiarity about batting high in the order.
True. He's not uncomfortable with it, but I don't know. He's got that massive leg kick right now. It feels like a guy who's overthinking everything at all times.
And it would defeat your argument or your looking into the crystal ball of maybe moving Abreu to hitting 3rd.
I mean, he should be. Like, he's your best hitter, right? He might be a budding star, and you have him batting 5th, which is fine. If we were to do a Red Sox lineup of yesteryear, sure, he probably would fit in well with 5th. It's not yesteryear. Like, you probably need him getting as many at-bats as possible.
Okay, we got a break for the top of the hour. So, Red Sox start at 1:35. Tarp is down at Fenway. It's Ranger Suarez against Walker Buehler today, making his first career regular season start against the Red Sox. Wow.
Tarp is...
because he played, but he faced him in the playoffs.
Good news, by the way, baseball fans.
What's that?
The tarp has been pulled.
Oh, it has. Okay,
They're going to play baseball today.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the weather's promising. I think I saw haze. That's what the weather app said when I pulled my phone up. Now it's cloudy. Okay, looks promising. and some showers later today. All right, so there's day baseball. We got day basketball and day hockey. Chris in Plainville's got a thought on the Bruins. We'll go to the calls when we come back. Michael Hurley, Brendan Glasheen with you here on the Sports Hub until 3 o'clock.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
71-62. They will meet the Michigan Wolverines, who continued their dominant tournament run with a blowout win over Arizona. Tip time for the national championship tomorrow night, set for 8:50 p.m. Good luck with that, everybody. The women's championship takes place this afternoon at 3:30 with South Carolina taking on UCLA. In Boston sports, it's a busy day with the Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics all in action. The Red Sox look like they're going to dodge the raindrops at Fenway Park. They're looking to win the rubber match of their series against the Padres. Ranger Suarez will make his second start for Boston, opposed by old friend Walker Buehler. First pitch scheduled in about a half an hour. The Bruins looking to snap a 2-game skid when they take on the Flyers in Philly at 3:30. And while the Celtics will try to keep firm grasp on the number 2 spot in the Eastern Conference, they'll be hosting the Toronto Raptors at TD Garden also at 3:30. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of the Boston Red Sox. Make this season your season with the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180. Weight loss. I'm Michael Hurley. Next update in 1 hour.
Deep three, violent two-hand slam. Wow.
98.5 Sports Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Brandon, I have a thought on the Red Sox, and I'm concerned about Aroldis Chapman blowing the game yesterday and dropping splitting the first 2 games of the series. I'm just concerned about, because this pitching staff is supposed to be a strength.
Yeah, Justin, thank you. I think that cannot be overlooked. He brings up a good point. We're ragging on the lineup and the run prevention mission statement going into the year, and the pitching's been better the last 2 days. But what did cross my mind, and you said this, Mike Hurley, in your headline, I think the first headline, but the way the Red Sox coughed this one up, if Chapman's I won't go half. If he's 3/4 as good as he was last year, you're happy with that? It's almost like par for the course. He's not going to be as great as he was last year. And we're already seeing he lets up. And Tatis, that was a bomb to center. That was a frozen rope to center. You have concerns about Chapman in the bullpen?
Not specifically Chapman, and it's funny because I should. He's 38. He throws 1,000 miles an hour. He's thrown how many? When was his debut? Like 2010. He's been
2010.
He's been in the league for a long time. He's thrown a lot of pitches. I do think closers in non-save situations is always, you never know how fired up they are and how into it. And
Cora used him a lot in that spot last year.
And he's also someone, if you've ever sat out there in right field, his regimen to get going is like 4 innings long. He'll get up in the 6th and start his work. And so yesterday they're losing, and so they're not going to. So he sits down. They score in the 8th. He has to get ready. Like, not making an excuse. He's a 16-year MLB vet. He should be able to handle that. But I do think, had it been a more traditional, like, in the save situation, I bet you're going to get a better Aroldis Chapman.
Agreed. He did win 5 games last year. So he was put in that spot often. 61 innings, and he struck out 85. Was excellent. One of the bright spots of the team last year.
Kind of unbelievable. He had probably his best season at 37 years old.
Yeah. And he's been good for a long time. He keeps climbing the ranks of most strikeouts ever by a reliever. He tied, Papelbon's doing the pregame right now on Nesson. He passed Papelbon. This isn't Red Sox history. I'm talking...
Oh, yeah, all time.
Yeah.
Saves.
That
was he at 392 or something like that? It was a lot.
Career strikeouts?
No, sorry. I thought you were talking saves. He's got more
career.
Than...
Thank you. 369.
Nice. Nice mathematical. 369. It's like Schoolhouse Rocks. 12, 15, 18. I have a number for you. So last year, he pitched in a tie game 27 times.
Yep.
Opponents hit 186 against him. He pitched with the lead 40 times, and opponents hit 085 against him. So I just think it's sort of part of the mindset of a closer.
Sorry, you said 27?
27 tie games he pitched last year, and opponents hit 186.
And then what was the other number? 27 and...
He pitched with the lead 40 times, and opponents hit 085. So
and that adds up, 67 appearances.
100 points. 100-point better batting average opponents had in tie
186
games.
Is still really good.
It's still really good. What was it yesterday? 2 for 6? No, 2 for 5? Yeah, 2 for 5. So they did. Tatis got a piece. The next one was a nice piece of hitting from Laureano. That was a nice.
And
that was a professional at bat.
Apologies. Their top of the lineup is due. That Padres top of the lineup has struggled out of the gate.
Yeah, Tatis smoked it.
He's so good. Remember, the Red Sox were in on him a few years ago. They were interested.
A lot of interest. You know what's funny? Seeing Bogarts back in, as we talked earlier about the investment level of the Red Sox and all of that, is I think long term, Mookie I won't go there with, but I will consider because Betts was bad last year.
Hurt too.
Granted, he was like sick during spring training, lost a ton of weight, never really recovered. It was
right.
And you knew, like you said, when you sign a free agent these days, you're paying for the back end a super premium to get their prime. With Mookie, you expected that in like 2030. If you're getting that now, we'll see. But the other two, B's and Bogarts, they obviously look better. Like the Bogarts contract is maybe the worst in baseball.
Yeah, but they still gave Devers 10 years, $300 million.
Did they though?
Because they moved off him.
Immediately as soon as it kicked in, they traded away. And have you watched Devers much this year? I have a developing observation about Rafael Devers.
Okay, hold that because I want to get this other call in. Chris is in Plainville, wants to talk Bruins. What's up, Chris?
Hey guys, I just great baseball talk, to be honest with you, and I'm trying to. I think we're only one trade away from getting a middle of the lineup hitter. Before the off-season, situation goes, and I think that will help us immensely. And as far as the Bruins are concerned,
yep.
I have not, I cut the cord like 3 years ago. I haven't watched the game in forever. I've played forever. And so I can listen on the radio, which is awesome. And I know, pretty much everything that is going on. But some of these guys, I just, if I ran by them, I wouldn't even know who they are. Max something, whatever, and, So how's the team working out for you guys?
Okay, Chris, thanks a lot.
I agree with the part of it. I was telling Jeff before the show, like, this year's Bruins team is making me question what I know about the sport because there are just so many guys. When I say guys, I mean sort of just the guys. Sort of up and down that lineup, the whole forward lineup. You're kind of thinking, yeah, that's a guy, but they're missing sort of the bankable alphas, whatever you want to call it, where you could go right down the middle and know they're centers, and like they have 3 top of the line wingers. Like they have a bunch of guys that are in the aggregate putting it together.
Lindholm, Middlestat,
Isamont. Like there's just Minton. There's just so many guys that individually you would never say, oh, going to be a part of a really good team. But they're going to make they're going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Right?
They should.
What if they lose today? It's going to be a little tight.
They say that.
They should be able to get. They probably need to win a couple more games. I didn't love their third period last night.
5 to go for the Bruins, by the way, at Philly today on the Sports Hub.
Not a great go-ahead goal allowed by Swayman, I would say. That bad angle through the armpit shot. Not a great one there. You probably would have preferred at least getting out of there with a point. It was their first. I read this from Jim McBride. I can't take credit. It's their first loss all year in regulation when they led after 2 periods.
That's good.
Tough timing, though, but...
Unlike the baseball team, in a small sample, this team's getting the most out of their roster.
Absolutely.
And your elite, they're actually kind of, to me, they're similar to last year's Red Sox team.
That's not unfair.
You're getting elite contributions from the top of your roster, and then there is a slight trickle down, and you're getting moments from guys like you just talked about, especially their centers, and they're piecing it together.
Yeah, like you're getting Swayman, Pasternak, obviously. I think McAvoy, when he hasn't been losing teeth and having his jaw broken, has had a good season. And then, like you said, it's everybody else. Geeky had that run. Should I pay off my Devers observation?
Yes, I was just going to say, please. So back to...
Yep.
Rewind. Rafael Devers in San Francisco did hit a big homer to left center the other day, but what's your developing opinion on Rafael Devers?
So to that point, you said they signed him. It's like they signed him, I think, in response to the
backlash.
Bogarts backlash. Like, all right, are you happy now? And then immediately they trade him away. A situation they created by getting Bregman. That was another case where you have the manager who has these great relationships with his players, and he was like, I'm not touching it. I'm not going to talk to Devers about that. That was kind of a mess. I was watching some Devers that opening series. They played the Yankees. I watched him a fair amount last year after the trade. I don't know the year, right? 28, 29. I don't think he sees the end. I think he'll be out of baseball long before that contract ends. He just looks less invested there than he did here when he refused to play first base.
That experiment that's not happening, right? He has not played first base.
I believe he's DH this year, strictly. Whereas last year he tried it.
My brain is backtracking. He got traded, and then there was an issue with the hitting coach, or not the hitting coach. There was a coach in San Francisco. There was here I am mixing my words, but there was something out of San Francisco radio. They had a coach come on as a guest.
All right. It was it Will Clark?
Yes. And he basically was like, this guy's going to learn from me. Like I won't take any of his crap if he won't embrace my coaching.
And he didn't show up.
Yeah.
But he did try to play first base last year.
Handful of times, if I'm not mistaken.
Was not great. And it wasn't even like just the pure athleticism of it. It was more when to charge on a ball, when to move to his right or get to first, when the pitcher was covering. All those things that a professional big league first baseman is going to know what to do instinctively was new to him. So naturally there was a little, and that's what he was afraid of in Boston, was doing it in Boston.
Oh, he played 28 games at first base for the Giants.
Yeah, so he DH'd for about a month and then kind of took turns, first and DH for the rest of the year.
Sorry, I take it back. It's that he has 28 career games at first base, which probably were all last year.
Yeah.
He had never played first base for the Red Sox.
Correct.
He
made sure of that.
Yeah, right. Yes, sorry. That made me I meant even prior to last year. There was never like a random he wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think he'll see the end of that contract?
He just is not. He's 29.
He'll be 30 this year.
Just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he can prove me wrong. He was one of the best hitters we've seen in baseball for the past 5 years. More than that, 6-7 years.
And he showed up in the big games.
Yeah,
those Yankee games.
And I'm not trying to do the Red Sox were right thing. It's just an observation. Like he looks less invested than he did last year when he was half checked out anyway.
But the larger point, and this is they pivoted to signing him because of the Bogarts backlash, like you had said.
100%.
While it's not offensive player for offensive player, it's kind of what they did after they didn't retain Bregman, in whether it was length of the contract. What did Bregman wanted a no trade clause?
Yes.
Allegedly. So you don't bring him in. Clearly, based on what we found out after the fact, they were never really in on Kyle Schwarber. They were never really in on Pete Alonso. And that's putting it lightly. They probably were never in on them, period.
I had a December, November take. Like, get them both. Everyone was saying, do you want Alonso or do you want Schwarber? Like, you're the Red Sox. You could get both.
Well, that's not...
I know, but you could.
Absolutely they could.
Imagine the lineup.
I've come to accept that wasn't happening.
Then you have a 3-hitter and a 4-hitter. Lo and behold.
And they had that last year. Into the year.
Briefly, yeah. It's true.
And they sign Ranger Suarez, who's on the bump today, and they give him a 5-year deal, $30 million a year. He's 30. A pitcher over 30 signed to a long-term contract.
Well, you speak about the reactive things. They let Lester go for that reason. Over 30, you're not going to sign him. And then the backlash, they went and signed David Price 2 years later.
And they traded for Chris Sale and extended him.
And those bad decisions...
Sale wasn't... When they traded for Sale, he was not 30 yet. He was 28. But the extension kicked in
after the World Series.
After the World Series, and he'd be into his 30s when you did offer and when he signed that extension.
Yeah, that was a bad extension, but whatever. He said.
And who did they trade? They traded him to Atlanta. Who was the second baseman they got from the Braves?
Oh, Vaughn Grissom.
Where the hell is he?
He was buried in AAA last year. Is he still there? I think he asked out because there's just no way. There was no path to the bigs, and he had a chance. He got a little cup of coffee last year, I believe. But it was.
He's with the Los Angeles Angels.
Okay, so they must have done him a favor. But those bad decisions end up. You could say, okay, we should have signed Lester. We screwed up. Now we're going to sign David Price. It's like David Price isn't John Lester. And then years down the line, you can't know this, but you're going to have to dump him with the best player of his generation, and it's going to kill your return when you trade Mookie Betts because you're throwing David Price's albatross of a contract in, and as a result, you're getting Connor Wong. What's his name? Well, I can see his face. Why can I blank?
Verdugo?
Alex Verdugo. And the third
who's not in the league right now.
And then Jeter Downs as your like. You trade a generational player and you get a backup catcher out of it because these decisions snowball and become bigger problems down the line.
There's no plan. There's no plan.
Yep.
And it's translating, like we started the show. You go into the year and you try, you know it in your gut, as much as they drive you crazy in the winter, the hot stove, you try, or at least you mentally prepare yourself to put that aside and then watch the games. And when it's not buttoned up, and then you really feel it and see it, like, oh, they are thin in that lineup. Thin. And I think you're right. The pitching will allow them to tread water, but you're not in a tread water spot right now at 2-6. You've got to string together some wins.
Score some runs.
I will also mention they're playing, so they have the Padres today. First pitch is coming up. And they play, you brought up Kyle Harrison and the Milwaukee Brewers.
He's going to pitch here this week?
He's not.
Oh, he's pitching today?
And Priester isn't either. I was bummed. I was hoping we'd see one of those two at the very least.
Yeah. The Brewers are 6-2. You got a good Brewers team coming to town.
Harrison pitches today. And right now they've got, wait a minute. They've got Woodruff listed for Monday. And then someone I've never heard of against Crochet. Jacob Misarowski.
That's the kid who made his debut last year and struck out a bunch of people and then rolled his ankle after one of those strikeouts.
Oh, okay.
He throws 100. Nasty.
Okay. Yeah, so he's pitching against Crochet on Tuesday.
That's a box office right there.
So no Harrison, no Priester in the Red Sox series. Okay. Why don't we break? If you're tired of the baseball discussion, fair enough. We've hammered the Red Sox here for the last 2 hours. We've got Celtics and Bruins today on our airwaves. Bruins at 3:30. 3 o'clock coverage starts here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And then on our sister station, WROR, Celtics home against the Toronto Raptors. Both clubs, Bruins and Celtics are both coming down the wire here for their regular seasons before the playoffs. Bruins haven't quite locked it up. Celtics are still trying to lock up the 2 seed. I want to work in some Patriots. I want to talk about this big whopper of a story from Jeremy Fowler at ESPN. It dissects the relationship not just between Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles organization, but there's 12 sources in the story. It's a long story, but there's a lot of tension. Jalen Hurts was extended a few years ago. He's a Super Bowl MVP, has been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, right?
Definitely 4.
22 and then 25.
It's tricky because if you were to do subtraction, that's 3. But if you count the seasons, math, not my strong suit.
No, especially live on the air. It's a no-no.
Terrible.
I just put you in a spot there.
I'm drowning right now.
So, and there's some AJ Brown connections in there because, well, it actually adds up as to why AJ Brown is frustrated with the operation and why he might want out. And the Patriots, of course, have been linked to him. You've discussed this ad nauseum. I want to just get your latest thought on that and the Patriots offseason in its totality. The NFL draft is slowly approaching, and that's notable because are the Patriots willing to part with the 31st pick? Is that all it will take? Will it take more? What's going on right now with the Jaylen Waddle trade to Denver? Does that change the compensation? Puka Nakua's situation with the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were reportedly in on A.J. Brown. Has that died down? Will other suitors come to the table? And does that make it so the Patriots have no choice but to give up the 31st pick? Or, because their schedule is tougher this year, will the Eagles wait that June 1st date because of the cap number that will help them, the Eagles that is? How does that all shake out? We'll get Michael Hurley's thoughts on that, where the Patriots stand as of today on this Easter Sunday. Mike Hurley, Brendan Glasheen with you here on the Sports Hub until 3 p.m.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Easter Sunday on the Sports Hub. 1:27 in the afternoon. Brendan Glasheen with Michael Hurley. I keep alternating Michael and Mike. Have you noticed that? Because I'm not comfortable. Not with you.
You got to figure it out, you know?
Yeah,
and that's how you do it.
Workshopping it. We are on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out on YouTube. Will Reed, Pete, Griffin, Michael. This is me channeling my inner Joe Murray, reading just reading usernames. Did you know? So for about 4 or 5 years, just to tell you a little bit about me, I worked at DraftKings in Boston. Their main office is in Boston, and I got brought on 2017, very part time, 2 or 3 days a week. Would do they were just building out the digital platforms for their app. It was all DFS. The sports betting thing has come to, of course, where it is now compared to what it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. It was really non-existent. Only a few states were illegal with the mobile thing, all of it. So I would do 60 to 90 second hits, news hits. So we're going to talk about AJ Brown. You do a hit on that and you'd relay. Usually you'd try to loop in an article or a report and then spin it forward if the Eagles trade AJ Brown, that could up the stock of Devontae Smith for this year, and he might move up your draft board season long, and he might be a target for your daily fantasy lineups. I'm Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for listening, blah, blah, blah. But I bring that up because when COVID hit, what kept us afloat, we did Madden simulations. We called Madden games.
Wow.
That's what we did. And there were contests available for people at DraftKings to play simulated. You could make lineups on simulated Madden games. We would do 6 a day, noon, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And they'd all run about an hour. We'd fill the content in between with maybe a show. Once sports started coming back, we'd do an NBA slate preview or a golf preview, and we would divvy up the day. And we do it 7 days a week. Now, I didn't do every game, but I would do 2 games a day.
Sure.
Emerson Latzia, who's still there.
My buddy Emerson.
Adam Kaufman, we'd work in, that's how we filled the day. Anyway, so reading a YouTube chat, we had a live chat feature on YouTube, which it could go off, but it was basically a podcast, each Madden simulation. And we would talk about anything but the game. Early on we did, and then you do so many, Mike, where you'd random wide receiver threes would be filthy, really good. And then there were certain stars that just weren't good. So we did it off of the Madden 2020 video game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was a time everyone just wanted to hang out with someone. So that's probably
it was a community. It was really fun.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the spring and early summer of 2020. I would say live commentating Madden games on YouTube. That's one of them.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
It was a blast. So we did it. So it started March 2020, and it probably went, I think, now you're not going to believe this. You might believe it because they make some money. There are paid contests that you can enter.
Sure.
We did free rolls because we couldn't dive into the paid ones, but we would do you couldn't do paid or free public contests, but we could do private contests with the viewers, with the players, if you will. And that lasted till about August of 2021. So a year and a half. And I think they still roll them on YouTube and Twitch on a separate stream on their channel, but it brings back memories reading a YouTube chat live because I know a lot of the shows are on YouTube now. Our shows here at the Sports Hub. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, so yeah, we're on YouTube and we're with you until 3:00. Patriots, AJ Brown. You're getting sick of talking about this.
It's just tough because we've been talking about it for 2 months. After the Super Bowl, I would say it's taken on its real legs, right? I'm trying to think of the history. And now it feels like we should be at the point of a resolution. You have the draft. Granted, the draft is always farther away than we expect it to be. You're still 4 weeks away from the draft, which is ridiculous.
Well, and as a fan, your thought process and your sports calendar brain changes because they went so far. last couple of years, you're thinking draft like New Year's Eve.
True. Or before.
Denver, Chad Ryland.
Messing things up. But at the same time, the Giants lost that year. I believe Chad Ryland lost that one. So he giveth, taketh. Yes. But the point is, here we are. It's April 5th. Very early in April. If you're telling me, like, I just wish there was some clarity on it because everyone's sort of doing the guessing game. And I think, and we probably all think, nothing's happening before the draft. We probably think that's off the table. That being said, that cap penalty that would hit Philly, they can handle it at this point. You know, like, they've built their team. Like, they're not going to go out and sign another free agent. And if you could attach a player, say, like it's doable. And I would prefer that selfishly because if you're telling me we to get through April, you're going to get through the draft. And then we got to keep this thing going all through May and into June and potentially like into July. Like, this is something that it's almost annoying. And I get if the end result for the Patriots from their perspective is, well, we get the player we wanted and we had to be patient and outwait them, then fine, I guess. But man, the days go by ever so slowly when you're talking about a situation that neither side seems ready to act on. I've never considered the Eagles serious in trading AJ Brown before the draft. And yet here we are being forced to kind of talk about it. And I think it's because they're just waiting for a team to get stupid. And the Patriots, to their credit, aren't getting stupid.
What's stupid in your eyes? Multiple first-round picks?
Yeah, I've come around on this year's first. I think I'm okay if that.
No one's giving up multiple first-round picks.
No. Not the issue is you could like you mentioned earlier, the Jaylen Waddle trade. Does that alter things? Which is basically a first and a fourth. It was a first and a third, but then they swapped fourth. So if you do the value, it's like a first and a fourth, which is a lot for Jaylen Waddle. There's no market for AJ Brown. It seems as though it's the Patriots. I know the Rams were briefly mentioned, and you also mentioned Puka Nacua checking into rehab. Maybe that's why they were kicking the tires. Yeah, exactly. But there's not a big rush. There's not a lot of teams banging down the door in Philadelphia to get AJ Brown. So even that might be an overpay, but if it is, then it's okay. You could give up the 31st once and be done with it.
Brown is under contract for the next 2 years?
I believe 3.
3.
I believe 3.
Okay, and Waddle is 2. Waddle, I'm just comparing a big receiver trade. That's the only other thing we have to go off of in terms of compensation. But he's younger. Jaylen Waddle will be 28 this year. Or he just turned 28. Or this will be his year 28 season. His age 28 season. AJ Brown will be 30?
Yep, he's 29.
Okay, so he will, and AJ Brown, I believe, is turning 30 this season.
Signed for 4 years.
Sorry, he's 28. He will be 29 in June. This will be his age 29 season.
He signed for 4 years, but he only has guaranteed money through 27. So that's probably the 2-year thought in your mind. There's probably something to be done there. But I understand the way that the business is working. It's growing a bit tiresome. That's all. I think the Patriots should go get him. Like, I was listening to Andrew Callahan the other day with Toucher and Hardy, and he made a really good point that I agree with, and it's that you might have come into this regime a year ago with a 3-year plan. Let's build it up. Let's build the roster. Let's do it the right way. Let's draft well. Let's sign well. Let's make all the they came in. They flipped half the roster. They were doing, but whether they like it or not, that plan has been accelerated. Like, you played in the freaking Super Bowl. And we might have different perspective on it, having seen Belichick and Brady in New England for as long as we did, where it was like a birthright to be in the AFC Championship game every year. A lot of teams, that opportunity is short. That window opens, and then a couple years later, you find yourself scrapping again for one reason or another. So the fact that you are right there, and you're going to be one of the 4 or 5 teams in the AFC that could win the conference next year.
Outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, what other team in the conference has proven in this last half decade to take advantage of a window?
Like, look at Baltimore.
Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's a great one. They got the quarterback, and everyone said, "Here you go." They got to the Super Bowl. It's been a long 5 years since
elite receivers.
2 elite receivers,
and they ended up paying both.
Now, granted, they have maybe the biggest dork coach in the league,
and their line's horrible.
The line's been an issue, but that's a team that probably, when they made the Super Bowl, and they lost, it was, we'll be back. We're good.
Yeah.
Here you are years later. That was 21, right? They lost to the Rams?
Yep.
5 years later, they're still trying to find it. So it's like you have to push your foot on the accelerator when you're in this position. Like you can't afford, you don't want to get stupid. And I don't think they were stupid in free agency. You know, they continued their vision. But I think if you have an opportunity to get someone that can actually elevate you and actually make a difference in the wins and losses, like I think AJ Brown is probably worth a win or two next year and a tough schedule. And that's going to make a difference.
Do you pause, though? I read this story, worth your time, I think, from Jeremy Fowler. It's the title of the article is Inside Eagles 2025 Friction as Jalen Hurts Stands at a Crossroads. So it's a Jalen Hurts story. But I read some of this. I think Hurts has some issues is strong. He has some shortcomings. Nick Sirianni, there's a lot of this to me that's covering up for Nick Sirianni. They've had a lot of turnover at offensive coordinator. I'm trying to relate this back to the Patriots. I don't think they're going to have that problem. I don't think Josh McDaniels is getting a head coaching offer anytime soon.
I would agree with that.
Unless he goes to college. Maybe.
I think he likes it here.
Yeah, he's got family here. Kids are growing up here.
Not to be naive, because like if a $10 million job opens up, anyone's going to consider it, but it does feel as though he's comfortable right now.
And if I'm not mistaken, maybe not after the playoffs, after the Super Bowl, there was some McDaniels talk of whether or not one of these teams would call him, right? He never interviewed.
No, and there were 10 or 11 openings, so
yeah.
That's a third of the league if you do the math, which we're good at.
Do you pause, though, about the player being disruptive to the growth of your quarterback? I know he has a relationship with Vrabel, and we all love that stuff. We get so obsessed. Like, I'll tie it back to the Red Sox. Everyone was excited. Well, Bregman and Cora are boys. They understand each other. Nothing will go wrong. Mike Vrabel and AJ Brown, they're buddies. Vrabel can get through to anybody. And granted, McDaniels, for all the criticism he got when he got the job, which I think most, maybe you disagree, more of a Kraft say, we're going to bring in Josh to be our offensive coordinator. Steph Diggs, Josh McDaniels, there was some stuff with, the boat ride and whatnot, the pink bag of drugs, blah, blah, blah. There was no, now when you're winning, all is well, but there was no issue, it felt like. So McDaniels checked the box of, I can work with a big personality receiver.
Right.
Do you pause at all about the player being disruptive to, because the culture is not fully developed, but your point about accelerating the process, knowing you were just in the Super Bowl, raise the bar. Do you pause about the player?
Well, I think you mentioned Diggs. Like, who was more disruptive throughout his career in spots? And it was Diggs. And so that was my concern a year ago when Diggs was coming in. It's like, man, you do kind of need someone to fill that number one receiver spot. But if it comes, like what you ended up getting out of Diggs was worlds more than I ever imagined. And I think that's individual. Like I give Stephon Diggs credit for that more than I would say Vrabel. But keeping it all flowing, and I think this is what we talked about earlier with Alex Cora, where you pay him and you like him for certain reasons, like you have to utilize that. So to me, it's like one advantage you have over, like say you want to win the division this year, right? I think one advantage you have over Buffalo in a big way is that head coach. Like, I don't know if you've listened to Joe Brady at all. Mm-hmm. Potential walking disaster over there in Buffalo. And you have a coach who can connect with these guys on every level. Like, there was a clip when they won in Denver. I think it was Corey Durden came up to Vrabel, and they're all celebrating. And he just looks him dead in the eye, looks at his head coach dead in the eye and says, "Coach, you changed my life." And it's like, this is, an apex of the season. They're going to the Super Bowl, and that's, a basically third string defensive lineman coming to, like, everyone up and down that roster has a connection. And if Vrabel can do that with AJ Brown, that's an advantage you have that other teams don't. So you got to use it. You might as well use it. If other teams don't have it, and he could be a problem there, like, I don't think Nick Sirianni connects with him. I don't think he connects with anyone.
Reading from this story, Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, dozen sources. It's lengthy. This is about Jalen Hurts. He has pushed back on changes that would diversify the scheme, including when it comes to him going under center more. He has shown a reluctance to let it rip at times, particularly against zone coverage. He diverts from the game plan and changes play calls. to what some feel is an excessive degree. And then the way I looked at it was, if you control find the story, there's a lot of AJ Brown.
A lot of Brown.
I
like the part where it's like they used to be best friends. Now they're not. I'm of the belief that the quarterback and his number one receiver don't need to be best friends.
His being A.J. Brown. Brown's occasional collaborations with Hurts aside, Brown couldn't mask his frustrations with the offensive dynamic. His sideline demeanor and social media messaging became a weekly conversation. Multiple team sources say they never saw Brown and Hurts engage in an argument during the season and were professional during the season, but both also tend to internalize issues, which led to a lack of communication, sources said. Clearing the air probably doesn't happen as often as it should. Brown and Hurts were considered best friends. But veteran defensive end Brandon Graham suggested in the latter stages of the 24 season that the relationship had frayed. Though both Hurts and Brown downplayed it, a team source said word began circulating within the organization around that time that things weren't good between the two. When the Patriots acquired Stephon Diggs, Drake May could not have been more excited. I grew up watching him. And then Diggs returned the fit publicly. Loved playing with Drake. He doesn't even know how great he is. He's developing. He's molding himself into a young, ascending leader. It all sounds too good to be true. If the Patriots acquire A.J. Brown, that's the cherry on top to a solid offseason becomes a great offseason. I worry... Because Jalen Hurts in the story, this is not Jeremy Fowler. His sources are saying they compare Jalen Hurts' leadership to a Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan type, where he can be kind of a pain to be around, but you couldn't ignore that the guy was in it for winning. But taking out the play call changes aside, Jalen Hurts probably rubs some people the wrong way. It whiffs a little bit of a Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks at the end.
Well, even at the end of that story, it says if Brown plays elsewhere, then Devontae Smith will be number one. And then it's like, he's got his own issues with Jalen Hurts. And I think if you're the Eagles and you're playing it out, let's say you feel like you've got to trade A.J. Brown. And if you heard the comments from Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni at the owners' meetings, it seems like he's done there. A.J. Brown is an Eagle. I would say A.J. Brown is an Eagle. A.J. Brown is an Eagle. It's kind of like...
Sorry, you said Laurie said this?
No, Howie
Jeffrey
Roseman and Nick Sirianni both said that. Okay. That's how they answered everything. And it's kind of like he's under contract was the answer. Let's say you do feel like that has to happen. You're the Eagles, you trade him, and then it's week 8 next year, and Devontae Smith is like, I'm done with this guy. Then you're sort of compounding the issue. I don't think they're going to make a move at quarterback, but... Let's say both of your 2 star receivers end up wanting out because of that. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how to fix the Eagles' dysfunction, I should say.
Okay, I'm trying to make this more Patriots related. Right. I read this, and while Smith, AJ Brown, they seem to have some proof based on the sourcing of the story. It's about Hurts, but I wonder, should we just let Brown off the hook? He's right to have his complaints.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a couple years, and they obviously won the Super Bowl when he was still going through it. So I don't think it will not exclude or preclude you from competing for championships, even if he's upset. But I think the idea is you get him so he won't be upset. And I know that's a risk when it comes to that position, when it comes to a number of factors involving the player, but that's the NFL. If you want a star player, it's going to have some risks with it. It worked out with Stephon Diggs, and again, I don't think that means the next one's definitely going to work out. There's still risk.
And by the way, I get it in pro sports across the board. We're seeing it in college sports now. A change of scenery gives guys new life. A.J. Brown, if I'm not mistaken, has publicly said that in years past, I like to win, but I also I take a lot of joy in owning my matchup.
It sounded similar last year when he was talking about it, even when they would win and he would have 1 catch for 9 yards. It sounded similar to Brady in 2019 when he said, I'm the most miserable
8-0
quarterback in the league or in history, because I think Brady knew that team wasn't good enough. And I think last year, if you watch that Eagles offense, and the plays they were running and the quarterback, like they were non-competitive on so many offensive series that I understood it. That doesn't mean you can necessarily go out and stomp your feet and cross your arms and mope all you want. But
the difference too is I think Stephon Diggs was desperate. He needed, no one was giving him a job. AJ Brown has a job. Now, you mentioned it, the market doesn't seem stark for him right now. But if I can come around on it, the faith would be in Mike Vrabel to get him in the right place mentally.
Because there's like a right approach to it. And Mike Vrabel is a confrontational guy in the sense that he's not going to avoid anything. And if AJ Brown busts out a book on the sideline, Vrabel's probably going to immediately go up to him. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a better connection there that someone like Nick Sirianni, there's not a believability, you know? There's not a belief. Nick Sirianni hasn't played in the league. He hasn't won as a player. You know, like, he's not going to connect with these guys on a certain level that Vrabel just has. Like, if you're ever in a room with Vrabel, you're going to feel like he's in control of the relationship. And it's just a slight advantage you have on teams with coaches that just don't have, I mentioned, what's his name in Cincinnati? There's
Zach.
There's just a lot of coaches.
Why am I forgetting his name?
He's only been in the league for like 8 years.
Zach Taylor?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. There's just a lot of guys that lack it, and it's important. Like, there's no way to quantify it, but I do think it's important.
Yeah, the story also, to me, just to kind of put a bow on it, it reeks of Nick Sirianni saving his own butt, too. Because it discusses their changing of coordinators. I forget the guy's name they just hired, but it's more of a Shanahan, McVay, under center offense. And again, I want to be clear. This is a Jalen Hurts Eagles story, but there are AJ Brown nuggets in the story. That just, I look at it and go, we're kind of like just letting this guy off the hook, and you can say what you want. You might not be a Jalen Hurts fan as far as his ability. You could think he's overrated, but the guy has won, and he when you're the quarterback and you're the Super Bowl MVP, and granted, that team, and that's why I use the Russell Wilson Seattle comparison. That defense was elite. They lost, Milton Williams, as we saw, was worth every penny. So if you got AJ Brown thoughts, I see Steve's on the line. Steve, we'll go to you after the break. We got to go to a break here. 1:50 here on the Sports Hub. Michael Hurley, Brendan Glasheen. We are with you until 3 o'clock. We will mix in some Bruins and Celtics as well. Those teams are both playing today. Happy Easter. We're back here on the Sports Hub after the break.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Phone number is 617-779-0985. Happy Easter. Thanks for hanging with us here on the Sports Hub. Brendan Glasheen and Michael Hurley with you until 3 o'clock, taking you up to Bruins coverage. Bruins at the Flyers today. Pregame at 3, puck drop 3:30, and then on WORR, our sister station, Celtics and Raptors. Steve is in Miami, has thoughts on the Patriots and A.J. Brown. What's up, Steve?
Happy Easter to everyone, including the person who took the call, and I didn't get a chance to wish
Jeff
him
Williams.
a happy birthday.
Same as Jeff.
Okay, happy Easter, Jeff. Everybody's talking about A.J. Brown. I would rather, I believe, have George Pickens. He's younger, doesn't have a knee problem, as of yes. And, everybody's talking about A.J. Brown, but if he breaks down after year one because of his knee, you just gave up a possible number one pick or whatever you gave up. We know that, first of all, George Pickens did not accept his tag or transition, whichever he was up for. And the Cowboys owner, Jones, has a thing about trading players who don't want to be in Dallas. So I would be maybe looking into him. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was I hope, oh boy, do I hope that the number one fan that he always says how he was a fan first, how Robert Kraft, I hope he doesn't become John Henry in becoming cheap with Gonzo. He proved to be the best player in the Super Bowl for the Patriots. He does lock down every opposing number one receiver. Yes, he's had his injuries, but I just don't want to see this happening again where a player plays out. First of all, as we all know, every day they don't sign him, it's costing money. Right. And if they don't sign him towards the season, a lot of players, how many times do we hear players saying, I'm not negotiating during the season? So then what you're up against is you're going to lose him for nothing. Or other teams know that you're going to have to trade him, and then all of a sudden you're not going to get what you should get. Just stop pussyfooting around and sign the guy. You have a star, a young star in the offense with Drake May. You have a young star in the defense with Christian Gonzalez. Make it happen. We are the Patriots. We are all we need, and we all we got, we all we need.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. You have thoughts on, we'll start with the first thing you said, George Pickens.
I'll start on the second one.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I understand the business was done a certain way when Bill Belichick was in charge. It's time to modernize. Like you drafted a player at a premium position in the first round, and it was an absolute home run hit. You got an elite player at 17, 4 years in. You sign him. That's the way you do business. He's not a problem in the locker room. Like he's, a different guy. Like he's maybe quieter, maybe not a rah-rah guy, whatever. He's one of the 3 or 4 best cornerbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
And if you're afraid of paying that guy, then who are you not going to be afraid of paying?
And Vrabel's kind of put the organization on notice when it comes to that. We want to draft well and then prioritize players that we think are part of our plan. That word he used over and over. The plan. We want to put together a plan. And he works in his takes on personnel without going there. He's very good at sort of nudging. George Pickens? He did sign the franchise tag, did he not?
Yeah, no. I get it. I get you want to look alternatives if you don't like A.J. Brown, but no. You want to do business with Jerry Jones? You want to get into that world? No.
I would also just remind this particular season, so the Cowboys gave up a third rounder to go get him from Pittsburgh.
Sounds right.
Kind of a last minute pivot by Dallas to go get him because of after the Parsons trade.
They traded a third and a fifth for Pickens and a sixth. So sure, a third. I'm not going to do the math on that.
The Pickens acquisition was after Micah Parsons?
It was May 7th, so no. Pickens was before.
Right. Parsons came very late.
That was in July.
It was in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Dallas was trailing in a lot of their games this year.
Also helps. We talked about the way maybe Story could have hit better in a lineup with a bunch of stars. When CeeDee Lamb is opposite you, it's gonna help your opportunities.
True, but he did have some games when because Lamb was out. Lamb missed time this year, right?
Yeah, good. I mean, I don't think that's a realistic possibility. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm good. I'm good on George Pickens. Seems like his head is not. It doesn't seem he's one that's all about what you want here. The numbers look good. He's good for your fantasy team. He doesn't speak. He's not a winning. I don't think he's a winning player. And if you look at a lot of his biggest game, now Dallas did win 3 in a row. They beat Kansas City on Thanksgiving. The week prior, they beat Philly. Monster games. In losses, he didn't show up in many cases.
Also, as we talk about Christian Gonzalez being a part of your future, like you hit on a player, the Steelers drafted Pickens in the second round and traded him away 3 years later.
And they're good at drafting receivers.
And they're good at taking risks at receiver. And they said, you know what? All set.
That tells you something.
Yeah.
Say what you want. Pittsburgh maybe a little overrated because they'll get in the playoffs, but they get their butts kicked in the wild card round. But if they normally have good feel at that position. Mm-hmm. Finding diamonds in the rough. AJ Brown, Mike Wallace. I always think Mike Wallace when I think Pittsburgh receivers. He's the first guy I think of. Well, Hines Ward's good too. I mean, I talk about ability. I just mean like how they know how to identify guys.
Antonio Brown.
Quite
a find out of Central Michigan.
Yep. The Chippewas.
Worked for a bit.
Okay, we got a break. Top of the hour. We got our hourly sponsor. We got headlines. We got an hour to go. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley, Jeff Williams behind the glass. Yes, Jeff. Happy Easter to Jeff Williams. And happy Easter to you all. An hour to go. We'll work in some Celtics, some Bruins. Both teams in action this afternoon here on the Sports Hub Bruins and on WROR Celtics. We'll break and we'll take you home.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics. WNBA, Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It is a busy Easter Sunday in Boston sports. The Red Sox currently in action, scoreless through 2 innings at Fenway Park as they try to win the rubber match against the San Diego Padres. The Bruins are coming off a loss in Tampa last night. They have a short turnaround. They get to work in Philadelphia this afternoon. You can catch that game right here on the Sports Hub with pregame coverage starting at 3 p.m. And the Celtics will be over at TD Garden hosting the Raptors. Boston with a magic number of 3 to secure the number 2 seed in the East. That would be any combination of Boston wins and Knicks losses to get the number 2 seed. You can catch that game over on 105.7 WROR with pregame coverage starting at 3. And some news that just came across my desk. Bill Belichick, former Patriots coach, being sued for $300,000 by a painter who says he was badly injured while working on Bill Belichick's $5 million Nantucket home in June of 2024. Some legal matters to deal with for the head coach. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Michael Hurley. Next update in 1 hour.
This is what happens when analysts take over the games, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub.
No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
.2:10 in the afternoon on this Easter Sunday, April 5th. Brendan Glasheen and Michael Hurley with you until 3 o'clock. Taking you up to Bruins pregame. They're in Philadelphia to take on the Flyers, trying to lock up a playoff spot with 5 games to go, including today's game. Got the Celtics on WROR. They take on the Raptors at TD Garden. I believe Jake Seymour's in the house. He'll have you covered for the Celtics coverage over with Grady and Max, of course, on WROR. What did you just read in the headlines about Bill Belichick?
So this story came out yesterday. I missed it, but Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, put it out there. So the Daily Mail reporting that our former friend Bill Belichick being sued for $300,000. A painter was painting his $5 million home. His name's Andrew Jackson. I don't believe the president. I don't believe... Wait, was Andrew Jackson president?
Yes.
History, math, all these things. The man's name is Andrew Jackson. He fell during a painting job on Belichick's home, hurt his ankle very badly, and though he did receive workers' comp, he's suing Belichick $300,000 for negligence. This is according to the Daily Mail.
Now, do you think Belichick would tell Mr. Jackson that we're not talking about open heart surgery?
He could. I mean, it's just the ankle's pretty far away. You know, you don't need that to paint. You paint with the wrist. But it says the painter racked up $61,000 in hospital expenses, $4,600 in doctor's visits, $2,000 on physical therapy, and has lost $167,000 in wages. Not sure he'll win, but he's filing.
So, sorry, talk to me like I'm dumb. Why would this be Bill Belichick's fault?
Because there was some plastic sheeting on the floor that were negligently left in places that caused a slip and fall. Like he covered his furniture with plastic, apparently. I'm sure.
Is there ring camera footage of this?
We know that some people in his life have ring cameras. I would just venture to say, I don't know the law on this one. I'm gonna guess that Bill himself was not covering his own furniture in plastic. You know, it doesn't seem like a to-do list for him.
Because he's had a home in Nantucket for a while.
For a very long time.
Yeah. So this is a new house.
I don't know.
There's a house getting work done on it. You said painted. Florio tweeted this? Mike Florio?
I saw it on Pro Football Talk by way of the Daily Mail.
Okay.
I don't know.
the way you read it in the headlines, it sounded made up.
It did.
Or like you got sentelled.
I had to double check it. But the Daily Mail's always on top of these things, so credit to them.
All right. So to spin it forward, maybe, that might come out of the NIL budget for UNC football.
I don't know how it works. Did you watch much UNC football last year? I could not look away myself.
Listen, from time to time, I'll dabble in a wager. I was in on UNC. I didn't do the win total, but when they played TCU and they stormed up the field and scored, I go, oh, that was cool.
That was a good drive.
Great drive. And then it all unraveled. And then by the time they played UCF.
Yes, that was a brutal game for them.
Brutal. Here I am watching Gio Lopez. I'm like, oh gosh, this guy's like Penix. He can sling it. Dink and dunk. Bill's back. Even if you don't like Bill Belichick. Well, now it's all changed. There's a lot of development since. At your core, how could you not root for him? Just for the sake of interest, relevance. And there's so much has happened since then.
First of all, I don't know, there's a lot of feelings with Bill Belichick. As a media member, I never was like, he's mean to the media. I don't know. There's been this like case of like, oh, he's getting what he deserves because he's mean. If you ask anyone that's been at his press conferences, I don't know anyone that's like, yeah, let's watch him fry. Like I don't think that's a real sentiment. And outside of that, like I had no reason to root against him, but I couldn't help but tune in wide-eyed and sort of giddy watching it fall apart. And I don't know where that comes from. You know, I haven't sat down and really addressed it, but I could not look away. And I'm kind of surprised he's going back. It was that bad. That UCF game.
Yeah, but he's got no other choice.
I know he's got no
of course,
choice.
obviously he could retire and just be done and
to go
do television or not. Just, dude, take a year.
Let's
disappear.
Say he goes through that again. Yeah. You know, just to spare himself, either like you said, retire, mutually part ways again. I don't know. It's just, I guess there's a sentiment that there was sort of a unfounded belief in his ways that he was never of the belief that his way was wrong. That I think to see it play out down there, and you know what it is too? His little puppet Lombardi out there being the like 33rd NFL team and all that. I think that's probably where I enjoyed it a little bit. The arrogance to come in and be like, we're going to be the 33rd NFL team and to just stink up the joint all year. There was an entertainment factor to that, but I agree it's short-lived. Like, you can't do that again.
He was back in the headlines, of course, in the winter when he did not get voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And what really struck a nerve to me was the whole sports world you felt was actually getting behind Bill.
First time ever.
And then UNC played Duke on Saturday night, and Jordan Hudson is wearing the T-shirt.
The Orchids of Asia.
Of Asia T-shirt.
After the most public sentiment of goodwill toward Bill Belichick ever.
Ever.
Just unnecessary. Like, just completely... It shows, I guess, their mindset. Like, move on. Move on. You have nothing to do with the Patriots anymore.
I'm diving into the nitty-gritty of this, too. That marquee college... We actually did a good amount of college basketball talk before the Red Sox started about furniture and whatnot. Sorry.
Thanks for the reminder.
Dude, that you have that the fact that I didn't know going into the day you already had the couch. You're going to look at that couch for the rest of your life and think about Gino Auriemma.
I got to sell the couch. How much do you think I can get for it?
Well, have you or your daughters or your family spilt anything on it, or has that happened yet?
Still fresh. Still smells new. So breathe it in.
Those big college basketball games on Saturday, they're like the big window is like now when you get into like when you get the big wigs like your Rafteries and your Grant Hills and Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle, there's a Saturday afternoon SEC Big Ten. But in like January, February, that marquee game, Big 12, SEC, in this case the ACC, that game's at 6:30 at night on a Saturday. So my point is, granted, Jordan's not that old, but Bill's old. Like, you're planning your day. You're probably wearing that shirt throughout the day. You took time out of your day to plan to wear it. You think she just opened one of her drawers and say, "Hey, I'll just throw this up." No,
you got to try to own that shirt, let alone plan to wear it. That's not one you just. It's not a neutral top. This is fashion talk.
Never mind what we saw on television. It wasn't even on TV. I'm not sure they even showed them, but obviously photographers are in the building and the photo surfaces. That was the big UNC Duke is one of the best rivalries in sports.
There's movies about it, documentaries about it, books about it.
And that was what, maybe a few days after the Hall of Fame thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like 48 hours? Maybe a week later at most?
Maybe 5. We'll go 5 days. We'll call it 5 days. But
so,
yeah, it was
that to me was like, dude, I take her out of it. Take her out of it. How do you not just go, hey, not now.
Just put a jacket on.
Yeah, like, come on. But the fact that he doesn't even bring himself to do that tells you something.
A little bit.
Tells you something about, good. Get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to me, we talked about Gino Auriemma. It's kind of like that too. Like, really, man? For all the success you've had, you had a bad year. Go into hiding or go to the game. I get it. You're being an ambassador for UNC athletics. Go into the big games. I think they did like what did he do? When he got hired, he went to a UNC basketball game and he was delivering pizzas to the fraternities, if I'm not mistaken, and the sororities on campus.
And smartly, unlike Brian Kelly, didn't just develop a Bayou accent out of the blue. Like he spoke in his normal tone when he spoke down there, which was good.
Just the guy can't get out of his own way.
I agree, but I do think he's got a chance to win this lawsuit. I don't think the Painter's going to win, but worth a shot, right? Try to grab $300,000. Maybe hope he settles out of court. I don't think
he
so.
might want to figure that out soon. I mean, we're not quite in Nantucket beach weather yet, but summer's coming.
Yeah,
you don't want that looming over your head. Hey, we talk about the NFL draft. There's pro days going on. Spring ball's coming up.
True.
I have no idea what the recruiting class looks like for this season. Because remember, the 33rd NFL team now has had a full year to really pick it apart.
Are you going there? If you're a prospect, a big recruit? Like, what does Bill Belichick mean to you if you're 18?
Well, then you're relying on parents.
Right, because they last won a Super Bowl when you were 10 years old. You don't know much about Bill Belichick's greatness. You just know that UNC stunk last year.
Maybe not 10. Teenager.
What, 8 years? If you're 18.
2019 is the Rams Super Bowl
7 years ago, I guess. Time keeps on ticking.
Right. No, you're right. You'd be like 11. Yeah, 10, 11 years old. Okay. Just came across Michael Hurley's desk.
Just came across my desk here in the news studio.
Thanks for all of you that are hanging out on YouTube. Patriots Dan says, these guys' chemistry is off the charts. Nice, thanks. I think that's genuine. That could also be sarcastic.
You never know. As you learn my name and which one to say, that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
But thanks for hanging on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in on your Easter Sunday. We have about 38 minutes to go until we send it over to Judd and Bob. They are getting you covered for Bruins and Flyers. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. Judd and Bob. I want to be fair. I get a mulligan on that one. Ryan Johnston and Bob Bierce. Apologies. Last time I was here for Joe Murray on Wednesday. The time before that was November. And when we do Bruins, I haven't been here for a Bruins game. I'm always here for Celtics games. So my bad on that. Sorry, RJ.
Both.
RJ and Bob at 3:00. You want to do some Celtics, some Bruins? We'll mix some of those thoughts in before these games get going.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do that next.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Easter, everybody. Happy to be with you on this Sunday afternoon. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley, taking you up to 3 p.m. on the Sports Hub. Ryan Johnston and Bob Bierce are in Philadelphia. They've got you covered for Bruins, Flyers, Celtics at 3:30 today as well. Coverage at 3 o'clock over on our sister station WROR. Celtics home against the Toronto Raptors. Quick shout out, by the way, the Celtics, of course, their television home is NBC Sports Boston. They are doing an all-female broadcast today to deliver the game, because I'm pretty sure, sorry, I'm going to screw this up, it's Women in Sports Month. It's something about the month of April, I think. Sorry. But a lot of colleagues and friends on the broadcast today. Abby Chin, who's a staple, of course, on the sidelines. Caleb Burton, who does the studio coverage pre, half, and post. Ashley Battle, speaking of UConn women's basketball. Ashley Battle was a teammate of Diana Taurasi on those great UConn teams. Ashley was a Big East Defensive Player of the Year in her time. Went pro for a number of years in New York and San Antonio. Noah Dazzell, who's a guest of the night show often. Noah does an excellent job covering the team. And then 2 members of the Connecticut Sun. Aaliyah Edwards, former Husky also, and formerly of LSU basketball, now plays for the Sun, Anissa Morrow. So that'd be cool. A lot of voices. 6 people on the broadcast. So anyway, that's coming up. Shout out to the women of NBC Sports Boston today. They'll be on the coverage of the game call today. Michael Hurley.
Yes, sir.
Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Couple big wins this week.
Big in terms of their offensive productivity. The story of, so we're about a month into Jason Tatum's return to the court. So this is no longer a shaking off the cobwebs. Revving him up is no longer a story either, because I was wrong. I thought maybe they would have him come off the bench. Not that it really matters, I suppose, because they were already playing and winning so many games. Now, they are still playing for something. They're still trying to lock up the 2 seed officially. They'd have to lose out for that to really not...
If they lose to the Knicks and lose to someone else, then they could still get it. But they're facing, the Magic, the Pelicans,
Toronto,
and
the
Knicks, and there's one more game in there against the Hawks or something. They should have no trouble securing the number 2 seed.
Yep. I think you got them all, because they have 5
games.
5 to go.
Yep. Raptors, Knicks, Magic, Pelicans. There's one missing. Was it?
Charlotte.
Same thing as the Hawks.
Charlotte is this Tuesday. That is a NBC primetime slotted game. Charlotte's played very well since the start of the new year. That was a good win for the Celtics. I thought, to me, just to get back on track here, this is me speaking to myself, that win against Oklahoma City a couple weeks back, to me, was okay, I've seen enough. I've seen a formula. I've seen cohesion. I was never worried that they would get it together because they had already played so well. I was never worried that Jason Tatum couldn't slide right into those DMs and slide right into the action and fit. Because I know what many of you said, and many of us have said. Well, they've proven they can coexist. I got it. No doubt. They won the championship, and they had a loaded roster with Porzingis and Holiday and Horford. That was a championship. That was a window, a 2-year. It turned out to be it was a 2-year window. 2 years. They had that team with Holiday and Porzingis, that is, and Horford for that matter. Horford was there, of course, a few years prior to them winning the championship. This year's different because there was a different orchestrator. There was a different leader, and he's a different style leader, and that is Jaylen Brown, who's put together an all-NBA first-team caliber season. I'd be shocked if he was left off it. I don't know how he would be left off it. Luka Doncic injury actually probably carves out an absolute spot for him. But off the top of my head, Jokic, Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I'd probably go Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown?
It's been that kind of year. Like, he's been that
And that
good.
was no order for those first three.
Yeah, he's been the alpha. No doubt about it.
And he's loved it. He's embraced it. Can you blame him?
Nope. Like when he did that 50 wins in a gap year tweet, it's kind of like, yep.
I brought that up Wednesday. That's what it's still that has not. No, I did not bring that up. That was recently when he brought up at the All-Star break the record of the team at the All-Star break this year compared to last year.
And people took it as
basically
like,
the same.
People took that as like a shot at Jason Tatum, and it was like, no, this was, players like to find however real the slight is, they like to find it and thrive on it. And Jaylen Brown heard people say, I don't know who, he found people, he heard people say, maybe they'll make the playoffs this year. And he said, you know what, we'll be one of the best teams in the league. And like when you do that and you come through, you're allowed to sort of spike the football occasionally. Now, granted.
And for the record, I think a bulk, if not all, of the haters, the doubters, were national people.
Probably. I mean, I looked at it as like the question going into the season was like, can they be better than 500? And I think a lot of us here was like, yeah.
Their preseason win total, Vegas win total, was 40.5, got bumped to 41.5 at one point, which is a 500 season.
And I don't know, but like locally, I don't think anyone thought they were going to be sub 500.
No.
Because you did still have a star, but I'm sure there were, like you said, there were probably people that saying, there was a push, should they tank? There was a conversation.
Well, they were 0-3.
Should they tank?
They were 0-3. And 3-5 at one point.
They lost to Philly to start the season, I remember that.
Philly, Knicks, and Detroit, who's wound up being pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And they racked off 3 in a row: New Orleans, Cleveland, Philly. Then they lost to Houston and Utah. So they were in that Utah. I remember that Utah game. They had a Brooklyn loss.
I remember that Utah game.
The Brooklyn loss right before Thanksgiving is, I felt, where there was a turning point in approach. There was a little bit of push-pull, tug-of-war with Brown sending out messages, not to the haters and to the national pundits, but more so in that locker room as far as their style of play, what the standard needs to be. That Brooklyn loss at the end of November was kind of the moment I felt, he's starting to figure out, like, I've been good, but I need to be... He's using the pressers now as a mechanism to put out messaging of how we need to carry ourselves, and we need to tighten it up. And it's when I felt he started to really embrace taking ownership of the results, not just his individual performances on the floor.
Yeah, because you've gotten a ton out of him, obviously, but you've gotten a ton out of like Peyton Pritchard this year. A conversation you could have had before the season was whether he was capable of this, and he has been. I think. Like Nemius, like Keita. Remember going into the season, you had what? Chris Bouchard in here.
Boucher.
You had
Minot, Josh Minot.
You had a lot of people that
Anthony Simons,
and it sort of worked itself out. Like this is. It took a while to get there, so that's on Brown. That's on Missoula. There's a lot of credit to go around, but to the point of where they are now. And where Tatum's at, I was with you. I thought he'd play 10 minutes off the bench, and he started right away and played like 26 minutes. You're starting to see over the past week, like, he's no longer, like you said, checking the can I do this box, and he's just doing it.
Yep.
The triple-double the other night, he tried to get one again Friday night, came up 1 assist shy.
23, 11, and 9.
Did you see he passed up that wide open 3 at the end of the third?
Mm-hmm.
Pritchard missed that one. He was looking for the triple-double again. But you're seeing superstar Tatum, and that was, I think, a legit question. How can it work? But if they can actually, like, if Jaylen Brown has evolved as a player, I never, as much as it was talked about around here, I never saw any way that would be a negative. Maybe long-term, you can't have 2 number ones. Maybe you have that conversation in the summer. I don't know. But it's not the summer right now.
Can I push back on that?
Sure.
Because I've heard a lot of people do. Gasper's done this too. that's a conversation for next year. There's a playoff run to be had.
Oh yeah. Like it's not the summer right now.
Yeah, like I want. They
like,
should be.
What if they thrive together and win a championship? You think they're both going to be like, we got to get out of here?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm tired of hearing this. They're going to have this. Why? What if it works?
I guess if it doesn't, then you have the conversation.
Yes. I was here Wednesday for the Miami game, and that was just a really dumb game. Like dumb because of how elite when any NBA team, never mind the Celtics, when you're knocking down threes they were 11 of 16 or 11 of 15 from three in the first quarter. They scored a franchise record 53 points. They allowed 33. It was actually tied for the most points they allowed in a game this year, and they've won both times. Orlando.
Well, yeah, the first and the third quarter were like mirror opposites of each other.
Yeah.
I think the Heat scored 50 in the third, didn't they?
Yes. We'll do a little more Celtics after the break. We do have to go to a break. We'll work in the Bruins, too. I have some more thoughts on the Celtics and how they are trending with the playoffs nearing. Playoffs start April 18th. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley with you until 3 o'clock. Feel free to call in before we send it over to the guys in Philly, Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers. 617-779-0985. We're here with you on Easter Sunday until 3 o'clock.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
try to avoid doing live play-by-play of a game that's happening while you're on the air. And, of course, in our case, at the Sports Hub, the only team that would fit that criteria would be the Red Sox. But they've committed another fielding error. They are leading 4-1 against the Padres with 2 down in the fourth. Trevor Story had an error back in the... I already forget what inning it was.
We'll call it the second.
Okay. Yeah. That feels about halfway ago where we were. Okay. And then Narvaez made a poor throw to first. It hasn't done them in yet, but it allowed the runners to advance. So the Padres have second and third with Xander Bogaerts at the plate. Red Sox are winning.
Scoring runs.
Scoring runs. Early, yeah.
Chase Bueller.
Yeah, Walker Buehler. He's just, at this point, you're hoping he's just an innings eater at this stage of his career, right? If you're the Padres, end of the rotation, eat some innings.
He was the anti-ABS speaker in spring training, right?
Yeah, that's right.
As a veteran, you've earned some of those edges. It's like, well, maybe that's dumb.
So we were talking... Sorry, you had another thought?
Nope.
Walker Buehler? Okay.
Just kind of repeating myself.
Hey, you got to reset in radio. I get it. Michael Hurley, Brendan Glasheen with you until 3 o'clock. Bruins and Flyers. Puck drop 3:30. Pregame with RJ and Bob at 3. What was my thought there on the Celtics? They've come to... I was here for the Miami game Wednesday, and what I watched with a keen eye was when they bring the ball up, and that was a game, I thought, while there was a lot of scoring both ways, when the other team is scoring and you're scoring, you're taking the ball out of your own hoop often, right? So you're not getting out in transition. That was not a transition game. It was a run and gun game, but there wasn't a lot of transition basketball, steals, getting out in the run. It feels intentional that they are, sometimes Tatum brings the ball up. Sometimes Brown brings the ball up. Sometimes Derek White brings the ball up just to initiate offense and to get into their actions.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think, and I realize in the NBA, when you have 2 all-NBA caliber players, and it starts with them, it ends with them, no doubt. But 2 big thoughts on the Celtics. They can maximize their potential if they're going to be diverse in how they approach the game. And I think they've demonstrated, and Tatum, by the way, as a rebounder, has been outstanding. They need that. Tatum, he had 18 rebounds in that Miami win. A lot of shots were going in.
All defensive rebounds, too, for what it's worth.
So, and they need that. Because I love Keita and his development. Their player development, that was my second point. Their player development is off the charts. Stevens deserves so much credit for how they've mastered that.
Mm-hmm. You're also seeing like Tatum set screens and what that can do to a defense. It's just, how do you defend it when Brown and Tatum are both involved in the action, and you have people that can hurt you across the floor outside of those two? Like, if you were to sit here and try to write up all the ways you're going to defend it, you're going to work yourself into a pretzel. And I think it's going to be, we might have spoken ill a little bit of this remaining regular season for the Celtics, because it's sort of, I think we're ready.
Yep.
I think we're ready for that.
I'm there.
And are we going to get a ton in the first round in terms of what we're... Probably not. It'll probably take until the second round before you can actually dig your teeth into like a real competitive series.
Which, by the way, as it currently stands, if chalk prevails in the first round, it will be Knicks Celtics again in the semifinals. Now,
true, 2-3, right?
Now, could it be, if they lock up the 2, they'd have home court? Now, that didn't matter last year.
Did not.
I shouldn't say it didn't matter, because you did handle for 44 minutes.
Yeah.
They, in both games, built 20-point leads in both games. Feels wrong saying that, but I had to just quick check of my brain. That happened. They had a 20-point lead in both of those games.
It's true. Yeah.
And stylistically, not even talking about three-pointers. Jason Tatum pounding the ball into the ground 10 feet behind the three-point line. Milking clock, and then, okay, 7 on the shot clock, let's go. you're better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And the main critique of last year, and even the year they won the title, your roster's too good to be limited to that. This year would actually be the excuse where, okay, your roster's not as good, but in fact, I think, and we watched this with Brad Stevens, real quick also on the people that thought that they would barely crack 500 or maybe be a play-in team. People's memories really evaporate. Brad Stevens was the coach. Isaiah Thomas was a trade deadline pickup, and they had him for a year and a half, maybe 2.5 years. I want to get that right.
Yeah.
They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7 of the conference finals.
At home.
And Isaiah Thomas and the Bridgies were a well-constructed... Now, you clearly had a guy who could go get you a bucket. IT, check the clock, that whole thing. Like, they've demonstrated before they nailed the picks in Brown and Tatum. But post Garnett, Pierce, Allen, coaching the most out of your players, and it actually has challenged Mazzulla in a way we have not seen him. You need to be creative in your rotations. Now that's what Jaylen Brown is better than Isaiah Thomas. So you have Jaylen Brown and Derek White on your team. I don't think that the fan base was not as convinced. Understandably, when you play in this market and you want teams spending, going after marquee talent, third, fourth, fifth guys on a hierarchy. In the NBA, when you're going to hand out $300 million, and I'm not getting into the owner and those decisions, I'm just saying when you pay Brown $300 million and Jason Tatum $300 million, how you develop your roster behind them and how they, not just their abilities, it all starts and ends with your stars, but how those pieces fit what your stars do well. They've done an exceptional job of that. Brad Stevens deserves a ton of credit for that.
A little bit of news, by the way. We missed it. Nikola Vucevic is playing today.
He was questionable coming into today, so he will play.
So you're going to see. I don't think you'll get. I don't know how much he'll play, but you're with Tatum. Like Tatum played with him for what, 3 minutes before he got hit that finger. So
and Tatum was excited about playing with Cata. He never played with him. Cata in this role, that is.
See that pass the other night when he just like lollipopped it in there to Cade and Cade's like, wee.
Oh,
like, it looked easy.
I noticed it when they played Tatum's first game. The way I'm like, oh, he's got a rim runner right now. Mm-hmm. And Horford was amazing in his time here, but like they haven't had a guy that can get young up and down,
jumpy.
Okay, we got a break. We'll wrap it up. We'll maybe do a quick Bruins lightning thought, and then Bruins Flyers, but a quick thought. That's what I'm looking for. Brendan Glasheen, Michael Hurley. Back after this.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Not much of a hummer, but every time I hum, I think of Donkey from Shrek.
Classic cinema right there.
Shrek's like, just stop singing. He's like, what if I hum it? Okay, fine.
I spend the majority of my life begging my daughters to stop humming or singing at all times. Just like a couple minutes.
In the car,
couple minute
especially?
break. No, just like around the house. Just like, I'm like, silence is okay, but I guess when you're a child, not true. Not true.
No. They don't know how to let it breathe.
No. No such thing.
We got a couple minutes here. We got to send it over to Bruins pregame with Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers. Again, just to get you set on traffic as far as what we've got coming up on the station today. Bruins Flyers, 3:30 puck drop. Bruins Flyers. And then over on our sister station, WROR, Celtics and Raptors, Boston home against Toronto at 3:30 as well. So that's where you can catch the games. You got any? We did a tiny bit of Bruins. We had a call on the Bruins earlier, but you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're kind of calling this like must-winny.
Not must-winny. It's a tough spot because you've dropped a couple of regulation games in your Florida swing, and then we were talking about this before the show. You play a 5:00 game in Tampa, and then you got a 3:30 game the next day in Philadelphia. In certain times of the year, you'd call this a scheduled loss. But you can't really afford that at this time of year. So it's a gut check time, I would say, for the Bruins to come out and not use that as an excuse because, I mean, if we're being honest, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
You got on the plane last night, I don't know, 9:00. You get in after midnight in Philly. You got a 3:30 game. Better show up. Got to show up.
National TV game today as well. It's on TNT. They wrap with, so this trip ends Tuesday in Carolina. They're home against Tampa next Saturday.
I got
another back-to-back. So they go Saturday. Listen to this one, right? They go 12:30 Saturday Tampa, Sunday at Columbus 6 p.m.
A little more manageable.
That's better
because you're at least at home and it's early. I mean, a 12:30 start's kind of nuts, but you'll be on the plane mid-afternoon. You'll be able to sleep, and then you play the next day at 6:00. Just weird times. 5:00 games, 6:00 games, 12:30 games. Difficult. I've been magic number hunting today, if you couldn't tell. I found theirs. It's 4.
Bruins.
So they're in control of their own destiny. A combination of 4. The problem is there's so many teams behind them that are 6 points behind them. But there's 2 spots there. Like it would take, I don't think you could sit around and really worry about that, but a win today will go a long way in just sort of ending any stopping that conversation before it begins.
Right, because you got Columbus, Philly, and Detroit. Philly's still in the hunt. Philly's not dead yet. Philly is not dead yet. But like to your point, Ottawa's got that second wild card. Detroit, Philly, Columbus, all with 88 points. Ottawa has 88 points. Bruins are 6 points clear of that.
And you have a lot of questions about your road game right now, so better win one now.
Michael Hurley, it was a pleasure.
It was fun. That was a quick 4 hours for me. I don't know about you.
Quick, swift. Jeff Williams, thank you, sir. Good seeing you.
Thanks for the Taking Back Sunday bed, that one break. That felt like it got me right in the...
Ryan Johnston, Bob Beers have you covered for Bruins, Flyers. Puck drop 3:30. Celtics, Raptors over on WROR, 3:30 tip-off as well. For Michael Hurley, Jeff Williams, Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for listening. Happy Easter. Enjoy your afternoon.
This is Boston's home for sports. WBZFM at HD Boston 98.